Hello, this greeting comes from the editorial couch. Finally made it through the shoot and we're in post-production and I get to sit in my favourite position on the couch at editorial. So, welcome to the first of our post-production diaries. Obviously we can't talk about how many days shooting we've had because we're now into post-production, but we are exactly 33 weeks away from the release of the movie on December 14th. So we thought we'd count these down. 33 is a special number because obviously the original King Kong was made in 1933. During these post-production diaries, we'll spend some time with each of the post-production departments. There's obviously the editorial department, the digital effects department, Weta Digital, Weta Workshop. We also have a film unit that is shooting, which is the Minis unit. We have the motion capture department. The sound department is starting up. And then eventually, at the very end, we'll have the finishing of the film with the colour timing and the sound mixing. But right now, we thought we should give you an overview so you can see what different departments are doing 33 weeks away from the release of the film.
Really exciting though to getting onto it because it has been pretty tricky while Pete's been doing the shooting, so it's really good to get full attention from him. So hopefully we'll move along really fast with the aims to try and get a good sort of structure of the movie done in the next 2 or 3 months, just to see how it's pacing out.
God, just splitting this up is a bloody mission in itself, isn't it?
Get as much of an idea of how the movie's working as a story so that Peter and Fran and Philippa can think about anything extra that might be needed.
What we're tending to do now is actually kind of getting into sort of the nitty-gritty scenes where we can actually turn over a few really complicated effect shots to Weta. Obviously they need more and more effect shots to get through the system.
Once the shots are turned over, it's feeding Weta Digital with work in a sensible way that all the big stuff's not left to the end when there's no time. But certainly the volume of work that we're putting through the place with all the different departments is definitely increased now that we've stopped shooting, because now that Peter's cutting, the material's going to start flying backwards and forwards.
We've got quite a few effect shots to do, somewhere, I don't know, thousands, quite a few to do, and we've got about 8 months left to finish them all, which is somewhat daunting, and we try not to think about it too much, but we'll just keep slamming through it and get there.
On Lord of the Rings, we were completing a miniature maybe every 2.5 to 3 months at the height of production. We've now honed that down to a week and a half per miniature. We've got probably 80 people building miniatures in the workshop at the moment, so it's certainly keeping us busy. We've been building miniatures for 4 stages that Alex Funke's department have been looking after.
We estimate between now and the middle of October we have about between 1,400 and 2,000 shots. So it just means people have to work faster and harder and find better ways to get things done, which we're doing. We've started up another unit, a second miniature unit, just basically because there's simply more shots than we can do in one. So basically we split the work down the middle. We'll take half and they'll take half. We lifted off long before production began, and we'll probably still be shooting when they pull the plug at the very end.
We'll probably be motion capturing up, I'd say, maybe going through to August, September maybe, depending on last ditch shots, maybe October. Motion capturing Kong's way harder than Gollum. It's 10 times harder. For Kong, we're doing a full facial capture as well as full body capture. It's very tricky to capture body and facial at the same time.
It's amazing what they can do in films nowadays. It's all that CG that they do.
The sound department, they'll be working on the dialogue for the film and all of the sound effects.
Well, basically right now we're in a period where we're gathering all the effects, the ingredients that we're going to use to cook up this big feast. So we're just recording all the different elements that are going to go into making up the effects end of the soundtrack.
Okay.
So welcome to post-production, and during the next 33 weeks we'll show you what each of the departments are doing, and you'll get to see what happens when the pressure really gets on towards the end. So, 32 weeks to go, and here I am in the sunshine with the Venture. This is the full-size Venture, which I didn't actually ever film on this Venture due to reasons associated with seasickness, but there were many different Ventures in the movie. I got to shoot on the full-size set that we had in the parking lot.
Very busy and chaotic tonight. There's partial Ventures in the sense that there was the full upper deck built at Stone Street Studios, and then of course all the cabins and holds and so forth. And then in terms of the entire ship, there's 3. There's the full-size ship, which is built from a little coaster called the Manuia. Then there's our 12th scale model here, and then there's a tiny little one that we're using for extreme long shots.
And at the moment we're shooting the miniature Venture, a wonderful, incredibly detailed miniature that Weta Workshop have made, and
Alex Funky and his great team are busy shooting the miniature ship on the stage.
Well, you always want to use the right tool for the job. If you want to do a shot of the Venture steaming into the sunrise, it'd be great if you could simply take a full-size ship out and steam it into the sunrise and film it from a helicopter. But if you have to have a ship in a storm, if you have to have a ship that's in danger, that's in extreme waves and so forth, well, that's very hard to film and very dangerous. It's much more practical to do that on a miniature, which is how our 12th scale miniature comes into play.
Our miniature at 12 scale is 14 foot long. Some of the storyboarded shots go extremely close to the surface of it, and therefore it has to be an extremely detailed model.
There are miniatures in the world that get built. Okay, 2.5 hours, I got to mount 800 rivets on this boat and then I can go home. Those are the miniatures that don't work. The miniatures that work are the ones where everything that's done was done by somebody who had a story to tell. What's the last time that they washed the deck? What was on the deck at that time? Was it animal droppings? Was it rust? Why are these rivets rustier than those? Because water trickles down off the lifeboat davit and runs on this post, so there's more water here, so it rusts more. But that's the kind of thinking that makes a good miniature builder.
One of the coolest things that bring miniatures to life is the lighting on them.
On the miniature Venture, we've got all the lights that were on the real Venture, all the bulkhead lights and the spotlights and the running lights and so forth. But we want to keep those as a separate piece of film. That's because we need to be able to, when we put the shot together, adjust the brightness relatively of all these different components. So that gets a piece of film that's just black except for just those little points of light, portholes and everything else. Here's a practical, one of the little scale practical lights. It's a waterproof bulkhead fixture. But as you see, it doesn't do much. But, okay, turn that on, please. We have an effects light which creates the glow that surrounds the lamp. So see, that way the two together produce the total effect. As with anything else in miniature photography, it's all cheating. It's all faking something so that it looks the way it does in the real world.
One of the tricky things with a miniature ship is not just making the ship look good and lighting it and shooting it. You've actually got to have the ship moving. It's one of those things that if it's not moving properly, you're going to notice it. It's going to give away the whole trick.
In the course of working out the ship's movement, a great deal of study was done by the digital guys and by our guys as well, looking at lots and lots of documentary footage of ships in different kinds of seas to look at things like how many degrees per second does a ship in a moderate sea roll.
So by using a very simple counterweight process, we can find the waterline of the model and mount the axis point through the waterline. And then as you can see here, just with the slightest of touches, I can actually get the ship rocking.
The three motions that a ship has are pitch, which is to say rising and falling the bow and the stern, yaw, which is turning, and roll, which is motion from side to side. So we need to have all three of those motions in this ship.
The only thing we can't do is vertical raise and lower, and they'll achieve that by using the camera. So hopefully next time you see it, it will be bobbing around in the ocean just off Skull Island, and if these people have done their jobs right, there hopefully won't be any way you can tell it apart from the real ship. So it's certainly a very, very enjoyable opportunity that Kong has offered us building this ship.
Mocap. Hi there, it's Andy Serkis and welcome to the Motion Capture Studio. It's just a warehouse really, but we've converted it into this rather marvellous high-tech space. When I think of the fact that principal photography has come to an end, it doesn't seem like that in any sense, way, shape or form, because we're actually shooting principal photography on Kong now.
Each morning when Andy comes in, we put him into his famous blue lycra suit, which I'll have you know isn't a special sensor suit. He doesn't wear special sensors, it isn't wired up, it's just a plain lycra suit. And we put these markers on it, and the markers are little plastic balls with scotch tape wrapped around them, bright reflective scotch tape.
We could just turn it off now.
All they're designed for is to reflect the light back towards the camera. And we've got 52 cameras that track the body, and another 20 that are specially designed to track the face. Now each one of our motion capture cameras has a bright ring light around it that will shine bright light out. So as soon as they hit one of the reflective markers, it fires straight back at the camera. So it gets a single bright dot for each one of the markers that it tracks around.
I'm lit up like a Christmas tree, and that's fed into the computer, and that data is recorded. So if there's a movement, you'll see all those cameras pick up that movement.
So Andy's suit has about 60 markers on it. So between all the different cameras, you can actually track the dot in 3D. So once we capture the marker cloud, which represents where Andy is, we map that onto a human body that moves around our screen. And from there, we have a char map that maps a character onto whatever target we want, in this case Kong. And Kong, of course, has got very different proportions to Andy.
The biggest challenges we're going to have is going to be retargeting Andy's motion onto Kong, because they are built so different.
All these dots are assigned to specific markers on the Kong CG puppet. That's me. Because I really am as ripped as that little guy.
So this next process will map the human motion that Andy provides onto Kong. So as Andy's actually acting this out, we get to see Kong on the screen, and that's shown in real time to the directors who are watching it from the different camera angles we're going to use for the actual shot. So they can see in a second if Andy's performance as Kong is going to match the shot that they want.
That's the beauty of having real-time playback, is that you can actually learn about the character and the way you're puppeteering that character. As it, you know, you can come back and look at it immediately, and then your emotional memory kind of goes, right, okay, that works or that doesn't work, and you make the adjustments.
There's some kind of cool moves that are interesting in there, where you're trying to do some of this stuff is looking kind of neat.
What we're discovering here is a lot of the writing of the character, a lot of the understanding of the character. It's a very physical space, it's a very experimental space. Philippa and Fran are in here rewriting scenes on the hoof all the time. We are here judging what is going to be dramatically appropriate. It's quite a tough challenge.
Working with Andy is really fantastic. I worked with him on the last 2 Lord of the Rings films as well, and he just brings a certain levity, shall we say, to the studio. He's certainly no airs and graces. He's really interested in everybody on the set. He has lunch with us, he hangs out with us. He's a great guy to work with, and he's just so professional on set. He just totally gets into character of Kong before each take. He knows his gorillas inside out.
In a sense, there is no difference between motion capture and proper normal acting. Any actor could do what I'm doing, and the way I would research a role or try and find a psychology for a character or try and find a physicality for a character, there is no difference. And I think this process will actually become part of an actor's toolkit to be able to get up and do this kind of work. It just happens to be new at the moment.
So we're in the cutting room, cutting furiously, 30 weeks to go. And while we're in here editing, we have a team of sound recorders who are basically compiling the type of sound effects that we're going to need for the movie. They don't really have the final cut pictures to work to yet, but they certainly know the type of noises and effects that they're going to need for the finished film.
Well, right now the sound department is very active recording sound effects.
This recording stage that we're in now, this sort of gathering stage, is really fun because there's like this aspect of adventure to it. We're able to get out of the studio into the field.
We have got the right building, eh?
All astern! All astern!
The steamship recording was really fun. It's crewed by these guys who are all steam enthusiasts, and they were just great.
We're going after all the mechanical engine sounds for the Venture, and a lot of the Venture actual footage has been done with miniatures, so bringing the realistic sound to life is crucial to making it feel real and believable.
We over-recorded this boat. Better to over-record than under-record, we say.
We've had longboat recordings for the Venture crew with everyone rowing.
So we're out in the bay and we're just sort of rowing away, and then we're sort of rocking it, and then we're getting it buffeted against the rocks. And then, meanwhile, the art department guys in the bank are looking at this because we're like scraping up all the hull of this thing, and we're taking out chunks from the front of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't include any of that bashing of the boat and stuff.
The system will bash us. They're a really good art department. They can fix anything.
You got to suffer for your art, you know.
We're in Wainui Mata. The sound team is here trying to capture the log falls for some of the Kong action through the forest, and we've been dropping these big logs back here. So we're about to drop it in the mud to try and get some big ape or dinosaur body falls in mud.
So often when we go out and record, we don't always know exactly how things are going to turn out.
definitely going onto the internet.
Off again today. Another big trip.
We recorded planes over in the Wairarapa, and that was with a 1939 Harvard.
The right sounding plane, but not necessarily the right looking plane.
The sound is very important in terms of really bringing the images to life. And another thing that sound does is it's working in 3 dimensions. And so when we're doing something like the plane recordings, we're very aware of how this sound is traveling through space.
Creating a 3-dimensional space actually gave us also an opportunity with the guns to record the guns snapping off the various hills.
Tommy gun used by the Venture crew.
We can actually feed that into processes which can then recreate how the sound was bouncing around the hills with the sounds kind of flying around you, kind of in a theatre.
Those are sounds which don't necessarily exist in libraries, and even if they did, we probably wouldn't want to use them straight out of libraries because
we would prefer we give the audience a whole brand new track wherever possible, and that's always better.
The sound effects library at the moment is about a half a terabyte. There's around 50,000 sound effects, so there's probably about 100,000 individual files.
And we've got hours and hours of recorded material that I still haven't had a chance to get into the library because we keep going out and recording more.
So it's been full on. It's been a very full on week with more to come.
So we're still in the cutting room with 29 weeks to go, and as you can imagine, we're moving through the vast amounts of footage we have to basically get our movie crafted. And we thought we'd show you this week is what actually happens, not in the cutting room, but all the work behind the scenes of the editorial department that has to go into arranging the footage before it even reaches the cutting room.
I suppose the best way to describe what the editorial team does in terms of the cutting room is that we're the support structure for the creative team, I suppose.
When you're cutting a film, you know, Peter is in there pretty buried each day, going through the material, finding the story and finding the flow of the movie.
They're looking to have everything at their fingertips that they've shot, prepared, expect to have ready when they need it to be able to put a scene together.
The assistant editors sort all the footage that is shot on one camera roll. They'll break that up into scene, break it up into camera, write descriptions about it, about whether it's a wide shot or a close-up, who's in the shot, put all this information into the computer system, and they will send it to us so that we can have it there at our fingertips and find any shot we need.
And out there, yeah.
If our flow doesn't get back into them to let the whole thing turn around and the scenes and therefore the film develop, then the whole thing kind of stalls. So we're the engine room to the bridge. At this stage of production, it's late May. We're a few weeks past the end of main unit shooting. We are still shooting. There are 2 miniatures units shooting film, and there's the mocap stage, motion capture, which is shooting videotape still.
Oh, they're busy dealing with all the mocap stuff. That we're sending the stuff down to be mocap down with Andy, and obviously there's huge amounts of footage coming in for minis. There's about three teams going now on the minis.
Everything has to go into the cutting room through us so we know where everything is. And that might be main unit, second unit, miniatures, visual effects shots that arrive, previous animation.
There's been hours of footage to go through. And we're just kind of getting it down to sort of like a smaller amount, so we have a more manageable amount of footage.
So far we have about 1.9 terabytes of media on the computers, which equates to nearly 2 million feet of film, or 370 hours of total footage shot. Probably 50 to 60% of that had to have sound synchronised to it. The sound comes in as a lot of separate files, has to be synchronised with picture. Those picture and sound files then get turned into single clips so they don't get lost from each other. All of the shot information gets added to that, so it's got all the information attached to it that it needs.
What I'm doing at the moment is just data entry, really. All the details for every shot, like the slate information, what lenses they used, at what speed, descriptions.
And then that's put through into the cutting room in a way that they can find it, so they're able to lay their hands on everything, cut the scene, and then turn the scene straight back around out the door. And when it comes back out the door, then we're responsible for making sure it goes in the right form to every other department who needs it, to the visual effects department, and therefore onto Weta for them to look at what they need to build for the scene.
Your visual effects keep coming through, updating those all the way through as we're within the cut, so keeping them updated.
The visual effects section of editorial are responsible for turning everything over to Weta to do digital effects and also returning it back into the cut.
One of the biggest challenges working on a film like Kong is keeping Weta fed because of the nature of this film, which is very, very visual effects heavy. And there's a whole lot of guys over at Weta waiting for shots to get on with. So just making sure that everyone is fed with things to do while appreciating the fact that cutting the film of this size and this grandeur will take time.
The other department that we supply, of course, is sound, so that they can begin to have a look and just see what they're in for, or as the scene gets tighter or turns into an actual reel of the film, they can begin to actually do final track laying ready for the mix. Funnily enough, with all the technology that's around us and all the computers and all of the terabytes and all of the visual effects, I think that for me the most exciting part of my job is actually going and seeing anything on the big screen, getting to sit there in the cinema watching all of the shots. That's when you go, oh yeah, okay, that's what it's about.
So, 28 weeks to go, and we're here cutting like crazy. We thought this week it would be good to catch up on some of your questions. So, Theo, you asked, why did you decide to set your remake in the 1930s and not in modern times? There's two answers to that question. The one main answer is because I wanted to do the sequence with Kong fighting the biplanes on top of the Empire State Building. That is such an iconic movie moment. You know, I couldn't imagine anything being called King Kong and not including that sequence. I think the other reason is it's the last age of exploration, if you like. It's the final time period in which there could be those slight blank spots on the atlas. Greg has asked one of these clever questions which has different parts to it. He says, when directing a scene, what do you look for? How do you know when you've got what you want? And how many takes do you usually like to do? Well, there is no real secret to what you're doing. What happens is that everything comes off the script. And really, in a script, a scene is there for a particular reason.
It's all in the eyes of Kong.
And so the critical thing is to identify the reason that this scene exists.
Have you ever heard of Kong? Anyone doing? No, we're going there. And so suddenly you're on the adventure.
You then base the design of the sequence, the blocking of the actors, the camera angles, the way that you shoot it, on the best way to get that piece of information across.
And then come up, and Preston will be here. We'll use Preston.
And generally, I do as many takes as I need to think that I've got what I need.
No, didn't get it then. Try one more.
22 Alpha, take 20.
Mark.
It's sometimes great to have choices too, and working with actors, it's often good to shoot multiple takes if you're not getting exactly the same thing every time, but you're getting a whole variety of different ways in which the scene's played, and then that gives you a lot of choices in the cutting room, which at the moment, you know, those choices I really appreciate.
Sorry, we'll cut that. That was a bit of a dog's breakfast.
The next question is by Rue Boyle, who says, how do you balance the special effects with the character elements in the movie? It's not a science. I mean, you don't sit thinking character, special effects, what percentage of each am I going to have? And largely the special effects are just simply an element in the storytelling. I mean, people have to wear costumes so that they look like the characters. The sets have to be built so that they represent what you want to have in the movie. Obviously, a movie like King Kong, you end up with many more special effects than you would if you were telling a modern-day drama story, simply because, you know, the nature of the story demands things on screen that you can't achieve any other way. The last question is submitted by David, and it's, why are you willing to share so much with the fans? Why are you doing things like these production diaries? Well, I can't tell you that. That's a complete secret.
I'm going to find out who is doing it. I want to find out who's in charge of the Kong is King website and where they're getting their information.
The production diaries have been something that have kind of organically evolved. If you look back at the very first production diary we ever did, the guys poked the video camera in my face and said,
Peter, could we do a quick blurb for the Kong fan site?
Sure, yeah. And I turned around and said a very brief kind of cursory, you know, hi.
No more days till we start shooting. None.
It was only after that first night of shooting and that very first production diary that I began to realize what the potential was, that it could be kind of fun. It's a way of showing everybody what it takes to make a film in real time, so you can get a sense of the time scale involved, of how long we shot for, how long we're going to be editing for. It's just a kind of, we just thought it'd be fun thing to do the making of while we're making the movie. So hopefully that's answered a few of your questions, and we'll do some more in oncoming weeks, but we're just still cutting. There's not a lot of exciting stuff to see in the cutting room at the moment other than me lying on my couch and slowly assembling the movie.
Adrian packs up. He's got to get out of here. He's going to get him.
Yeah,
he's coming after him. That worked good.
Is that working for you?
Yeah, that works really good.
You're all like it.
Yeah.
So at the moment it's the hard slog of cutting, and it'll continue, and you'll be watching it in future weeks. So we'll see you soon.
When we did the sums on how many miniatures there were to shoot on the film, we suddenly realised that we could be filming for another year after the film came out. So we quickly decided that we needed another miniature unit to help support Alex's team, and that new team is what we call BVH's unit, which is Brian Van Hul's unit.
During the course of the live action shoot, I was the visual effects supervisor on set, and then during post-production, whatever they need done, I usually end up having to do it, whether it's visual effects elements. Okay, we'll do that again, Dave. Or, like right now, they wanted to start a second miniature unit. They put me in charge of that unit so that I can work with Alex Funky and we can try to get through all of the material in the short amount of time we have. It's Friday. Friday's easy day.
The producers talked about the number of shots that needed to be achieved to finish the show, and we were talking about 800 shots that we actually had to shoot, and whether or not we will achieve it, I don't know, but we will have a damn good go at it.
It's a very fast unit. They shoot miniatures like crazy. Up to 20,000 feet of film in one day on one camera is quite a feat on miniatures, and they did it.
V-track back into where we had that original position.
Rolling, and Mocon is moving.
The different passes that we'll shoot on our miniatures are a standard move length, which matches the previous cut that Peter's given to us. One that's 20% longer, so that once the final animation is finished, if he wants to lengthen the shot, he actually has those frames. We also do those versions with high wind and with low wind, and in some cases with clean atmos and with smoked up stages. You know, Mike, when you think about it, none of this would be possible without the support of cocktail napkin technology. There's all our scaling, there's our count sheet.
We have a number of different studios that we're doing things in, so we have a lot of irons going and a lot of fires.
We've got 2 motion control operators, and I'm sometimes doing 2 shots at once and jumping from one studio to the other. Plus they're shooting other components like smoke and fire elements and things randomly all over the place. So there's a lot of different stuff happening simultaneously.
Brian is a jack of all trades in that he can do anything, but he's one of the few that I know is a master of them all. He's very much like Peter in lots of ways in that he has endless bounds of energy and he wears many a hat on this project.
Oh, I have to because I'm losing my hair. You're fired. You're only really as good as the people who work for you, and we've been really lucky to get a really good collection of people from the live action unit and from the other miniatures unit and also from overseas over to help us create the second miniatures unit. Except for Mike Kelly, he's kind of crap, you know, but we stick with it anyway. Hi. Hey. Gus Hunter and Jeremy Bennett have been really essential in leading us on the actual look of things. We end up with sometimes just a sequence with previs, just black and white images and very nondescript skies and, you know, not a lot of dressing in terms of what the environment should look like. So Gus and Jeremy have been great in coming down, actually doing digi-stills of the miniatures and actually incorporating that into their concept paintings. These lines that are going across, not just having lines going across, but you see that sort of stuff in Gus's artwork. The one thing that always distinguishes the images is how it's used in a film. And that is always in context with how good the director is. There's really incredibly amazing work that people will never see in movies that just have bad stories and poor directing. You never have that problem working on Peter's films because the storytelling is there, the directing is there. So that's really the important thing about working with a good director, and luckily we happen to have one that lives in the neighborhood. So it's just up to us to apply the technology to it to make it look really cool.
So we're about 3 months from the end of miniatures construction. We're working on the approach to Skull Island.
The dynamic environments of Skull Island have been predominantly created through the use of miniatures, and therefore it's great to have an opportunity to show you the journey that a miniature goes through here at the workshop.
We read the script and then you guys can illustrate some sort of more of a feeling of the action from the script.
As is always the case, our design work starts with the script, an initial chat with Peter, but then on to our conceptual designers, Gus and Jeremy, begin creating beautiful artwork that further enhance Peter's vision for the film. Once these are finally approved and we've singled out 1 or 2 paintings that best capture that vision, we then create a 3-dimensional maquette.
Peter said to us, make that painting. So that primarily is what we're doing.
I made this maquette for Peter to look at nearly a year ago.
But it just sits in storage up on the shelves waiting till the schedule is relative to when we should start building it. Its time has now arrived, so the old maquette is pulled out and we begin work on it. We literally slice this little miniature up to give us the information to build the larger scale model. We scale up either by hand off this model, but in recent times also utilising the previs department to drive our ShopBot, a robotic routing table, which automatically cuts out the profiles.
Once we've got the outline, which is just really bones, we get a skeleton, and we've got to add all the skin and the detail, like this architectural detail, that we've got to just look at the maquette and take measurements and try and recreate in between each profile.
This is the area we're working on right now. It's the floor panels. We're translating that onto the actual model. And after this, we're going to start building the facade of the buildings, which is this area on the maquette right here. It's not going to be as detailed as this, so it's going to be more like cave dwellings.
The guys have created these massive angular rocks, and the feeling that the seismic eruption that's hitting the island is making everything fall out of parallel, and I think we've really captured that in this latest miniature.
We clad rock that we've moulded from real rock around the coastline of Wellington and throughout New Zealand.
We have different names for the different sorts of rock. Probably the easiest one to identify is James Brown here, so named for all the grooves that it has in it. Charlie Parker, better known as Bird, and we call it Bird just because it's so goddamn interesting.
Louis Armstrong is smooth with gravelly undertones.
Charles Mingus, Thelonious Monk. This is one of the early Rolling Stones.
We skewer it on using meat skewers or shish kebab sticks, and then using urethane foam, we actually foam those rock surfaces on, go back in with a knife, cut pieces out, tilt them, change them, squash them, stretch them, to try and make a more dynamic environment. Then we try and get Peter in to have a look at it. It's a good stage for him to make alterations if he wishes, because it's very simple still to move it around. Very thankfully, in the case of the miniatures for Kong, he's actually had very few changes. He's been very satisfied with where we've taken the miniatures, and it's allowed the process to move ahead at incredible pace. But for me personally, I think the most satisfying thing that I now get out of my job is really watching these exceptionally talented artists create all these neat things. You're working with a group of people that have an unabashed enthusiasm, a passion and a drive to just achieve really great results all of the time, and that's a good place to be.
Hey, kia ora. Welcome to Weta Digital. What are you waiting for? Come on in and I'll give you a tour.
There's weird things that happen here that can't be explained.
Weta Digital is sort of like a mini film studio on its own. All the things that you have to do for live action filmmaking have to happen here, and then some.
Weta Digital is creating all the visual effects for this film. It's been pretty full on.
Anything that doesn't exist intact on camera we put it together here. Things that were shot in blue screen or miniatures or creating characters or computer-generated imagery. So there are departments that have to build models, build costumes. People have to deal with lighting. People have to deal with animation, rotoing, painting, touch-up, compositing, which is taking all the elements and finally fitting them all together and bring all the shots in line with each other. Really, it encompasses anything you can think of, and we've got to do it here.
On this film, it's not just integrating CG with the live-action elements. Sometimes it's integrating live-action elements into CG and miniatures.
All right, so what I'm doing now is the Kong Rampage, but I gotta fix his tongue. See, it's always something.
I'm currently working on these 2 trailer shots that are supposed to be rushed down the next week and a half or so.
So we showed Peter the swamp, and he liked it. He said, looks nice, but it probably looks too nice. He said, we need it 3 times more scarier.
Here I'm working on a truck for the trailer. We're in a bit of a hurry, so we've split this up between a couple of different people.
We tend to be pretty busy all the time.
I think in the final version, the tongue's not going to be so huge.
What we've got to create here are elements big and small. I mean, obviously there's Kong.
We have to animate everything by hand, every little blink, every little gesture, every eye dart, but also getting the performance of Andy with the intensity and everything else that he put into the performance. That's like our main job. We did the same thing with Gollum.
When I'm working with the animators, which are essentially, our actors for the creatures, then we get to play.
Holy shit. You have to make sure that the puppet's right, that it's gonna skin, that it's the right one with the hair. Then after they skin it, that the hair's not digging into the mouth, that your animation isn't making the mouth go,
We're currently working on getting Kong's fur to stay with the skin as he moves through space.
It's quite a difficult thing to make cloth and hair and fur move realistically in the computer.
There's the big environments like New York City,
which is 360-degree Manhattan.
We're creating thousands of extras for New York. We're creating cars and vehicles, taxis, trams, L trains. Really anything that you would expect to see in the city, we're building it.
So my task is to take the CG city, which is absolutely amazing looking, and just give it those finishing touches to make it more photoreal.
As well as the miniature and full-scale ventures, we also have a digital boat that we've built.
Here's the CG water that we've created for that particular shot. There's, the water for the approach to Skull Island. We've got to create the fog that they're sailing through. The whole ocean voyage, the water simulations, technically and creatively are always very difficult things to do. Skull Island is again, a mix of fantasy and reality. We've got to create all the creatures on Skull Island, anything that you have to do to make the creatures interact with their environment.
I'm trying to do something really exciting with the tail, get it flipping through screen and stuff like that, so.
We're creating plants and jungles and foliage and things that get stepped on and trampled and broken and shattered.
Fun for the whole family.
We've got to create costumes for all the digital doubles. We have to create the digital doubles. All the main actors have a digital double for some of the action scenes, things that are too impossible to film.
We have a little dinosaur sequence in the movie that there's quite a bit of interaction, quite a bit of running.
There's going to be a lot of running and a lot of biting. That's what we do.
But here's the perspective. People have like one shot they're worried about or a couple of shots they're worried about and they're working on them and they love them and their shots are beautiful. But they're like working on a couple of shots as opposed to like Pete working on the whole movie. So you think of like the mind load and we can handle it, a couple of shots.
Everything we do, no matter how much we have done before, is always a challenge. And so far, we're doing really well.
Today, we've got 25 weeks to go before the film's on the screen. That probably gives us about 20 weeks to finish the movie. So that sounds like plenty of time. Maybe I'll take a few days off. Yeah.
Hello, here we are, 24 weeks away from the opening of the movie. And I guess this week, the most exciting thing has been the release of the trailer. Certainly very exciting for us because it gives everybody a look at the movie for the first time.
Herb, get the camera.
We thought this week it would be interesting to show you the process of how this particular trailer got made. We worked very closely with the company in Los Angeles called The Ant Farm, who did the Lord of the Rings trailer. Steve Harris from The Ant Farm flew down to New Zealand and worked with us down here.
It's been really great. That's very rare. Usually the directors aren't this hands-on involved.
We'll make it so it's not a flash. It's a dissolve. So you dissolve from the ship to the map,
and then it wouldn't have such an abrupt kind of whack at you.
I'd use that in the trailer too, because we are going to need some sort of a wide shot of the area around that tunnel.
We'll get that going because I think that trailer's looming about 4 weeks away now. We worked on about 130 odd shots. In some instances, the miniatures weren't built.
We're building the second seawall miniature for the trailer, and the guys here have just been rushing to get it completed.
So right up until 2 weeks or a week even in some instances before delivery date, we were still shooting the miniature.
So the production of the trailer basically becomes like a mini movie. All the departments that are working on the big film, the sound department, the editorial department, the visual effects department, everybody activates and moves into high gear in order to get the trailer done.
The editing is still a little bit in flux. Pete's still working on it, but the structure is starting to come together, so we're starting to pull together some of the sounds that we're going to be using for it.
Because you want that moment where she screams and he replies with his roar to really be a moment.
Whenever things got really tough in our department, we just had to remind the team that, well, just think about those poor bastards at Weta.
From day to day, the shots that are in the trailer changes from 20 or 30 shots to a lot more.
We just got a new one in, and it's completely different shots than it was before, but that's okay.
Some of these shots are still in the previs stage, so they're just concepts, and nothing's done for them yet.
Probably 90% of the shots in the movie have some sort of visual effect, whether you will ever realize it or not.
One of the key decisions was how much or how little to show of Kong. We really felt very strongly that we really did want to show Kong, because King Kong has so much more to offer in its story and its themes and its character than trying to make a big mystery out of what our gorilla looks like.
You know, we're still working out what Kong looks like, and and Peter wants him up on the screen. He's got to be great, and he's got to be done. So we're just hammering it into place at the last minute.
Weta have got very little time to finish off a lot of shots, but I don't think that's a problem. I think it's good to have pressure to get the creative juices flowing.
I'm working on the swamp look right now and some of the adventure sequence.
Just tonight we found out that we need to get some natives going.
Tomorrow, she'll have more shot suggestions or effect shot suggestions that will give an aneurysm to somebody somewhere.
Of course, everybody freeze frames and examines it frame by frame, minutiae, so we have to be a wee bit careful. Actually, one little interesting thing with this trailer is there's one significant shot in the trailer that's not actually in the film at all. I'm not going to say which one.
I'd say 50% of it won't be in the film, knowing Peter, the way he works. And we shot shots for the trailer that weren't in the trailer as well.
I was really thrilled by what I saw in the trailer of Kong. I can't wait to see the final film.
I think the event of seeing what's coming on the event movies is an event unto itself.
6 months seems like a long way away.
Okay, welcome to this week's production diary. We've got now 23 weeks left to go. So now that you've seen the gathering process and you've seen us run around, record all the sounds we need, I would like to invite you inside to Park Road Post to see the next step, which is designing and editing the sounds. Okay, so just down there is the ADR recording stage.
We didn't get much of a crowd tonight, Annie.
This is our main mixing theatre.
Come on, take me to dinner.
And this is our department.
The sound design is really made up of many, many, many layers of sounds, and we start with the smallest sounds.
Sound design is pulling sounds out of thin air. Building mass footwalla.
We'll start with a couple of simple elements for the hit of him throwing, and then a metal element. We'll have a glass element. And then it's really a matter of adding other elements for the slide past. Once you kind of put it all together, it kind of sounds like this.
We have the ability to basically take each sound and move it around the room by putting it through this control system where we can tell it what speaker to go into. So this dot basically represents the sound. Right now, I've got it playing out the center speaker, but I can move it to the right surround, left surround, back to the front left.
We're putting that right around the room, so we've got pretty much a really good quad going of creaks and moans, and and when the tram gets bashed, the tram bell also dings every now and then, which is quite funny. They also use the boat and the car drops for the tram impacts onto the vehicles and stuff like that.
It's been a fantastic day, one of the best recording days yet.
And the tram is made of wood and steel, so it gives it a believability and that size of the impact. They're pretty tough people.
When you hear this in the film, there'll be Kong effects all over it, and the crowds probably won't be anywhere near as exhausting to listen to as they are at the moment when they're totally raw, because they sound like this. You get the idea. When I finally see the scene and I see all those bits of pre-res have been swapped out with the real crowd, I'm familiar with it, and I can go that shot, that sound, and just whack it in, and it's going to be a bit of a sausage factory because that's the way it's looking like it's going to turn out.
We've got a pretty monstrous amount of work to get through, which is kind of appropriate given there's lots of monsters in the film. The bulk of the recording has been done, but there's still lots of little bits and pieces, and you come up with an idea and you go, oh, I want to try that. So you just sort of run away and try a particular thing. As time goes on, there'll be obviously less of that, and everyone will just get sort of hairier and sort of smellier, and we'll just get really tired and grumpy. Apart from that, it'll be great fun.
So this doesn't look like much at the moment, but this is our A stage, and we're 22 weeks out from the premiere of this film. We've just got a couple of little bits and pieces to get together for the Weta Digital guys, so come on in and we'll show you what's going on in the Elements unit.
You'd be amazed at how much film we go through on things like dirt and rocks. It's crazy.
We'll go with big rubber rocks to begin with.
And action, Phil. So this is the fascinating world of the Elements unit, and we're about trees breaking and dust blowing and rocks rolling down hills. That will all be composited later. And action.
If you have real elements that work, that always gives you that extra bit of connection you need between digital produced stuff and the live action elements.
For example, the sequence takes place in a sort of a swampy environment, and a lot of it's sort of going to be on flat ground here. So what we can do is we can shoot sand elements being displaced by various implements, a rake or some sort of a prod or a swinging pendulum that can just knock spray everywhere, and then actually isolate that element off of the blue screen and comp it into the shot, get it under his foot, get some spray coming out of the T-Rex's under his foot.
And the gorge is a bit trickier because we don't have much dust. It's sort of a humid climate. It's a lot of rock surface, so we have to be a bit more elaborate about how to make this foot contact work. Foot contact is basically one of the most crucial things in this whole sequence because you see a lot of big Bronto feet touching the ground, stomping right in front of camera, and if you don't see any reaction to that, the audience is not going to buy it.
If you were to just look at any of these elements when they were shot, if you take a cricket bat and just whack the sand, it would just be this really small spray. Because essentially, you're talking about something, maybe just an event happening that big, but if you shoot that at 48 or 60 or 72 or 96 FPS, suddenly this little spray can look like a mountain of earth being disrupted, and you actually play it off like it is coming from, Kong's foot, who could actually grab a human being, And
a lot of the times it actually looks better, We get a real looking effect, and yeah, it's quick. They can be here and have input into the look of it straight away. And, at the end of the day, they've got finished composite pieces.
I think we went into this thinking very generic because there's a whole lot of the film that hasn't even been turned over to us yet, as far as the effects are concerned. And considering the amount of stuff that we shot, hopefully we'll have enough in the bank for what's coming down the road.
So that's it. That's pretty much wraps up the Elements unit. Hopefully we've got what they need, and maybe I'll see you again in a couple of weeks. And we've got some pickups going on with our fabulous cast.
All right, here we go.
Right, what is everyone doing to get ready for pickups?
Well, we're having a meeting about what we're going to do. A department bonding thing.
It's therapy. It's good therapy.
So here we are, we're 21 weeks to go. And this week's a busy week. We're preparing for pickup shooting.
What are pickups? People walk around and we sort of do a community service, and there's a lot of rubbish around Miramar, so we like to help pick it up.
Pickups. The director cut the film and then decides that he needs to add shots, change shots.
During the cutting, you come up with ideas for new scenes, you come up with little pieces of information that you want to get across to the audience. You come up with actually sometimes just better ways to tell a story or to get some information across. And so we're doing that right at the moment.
We've got 2.5 weeks. In fact, really 2 weeks.
That's to pull a team together, find out what we're doing and find the spaces to work in, because once again we're fighting for spaces with lighting and...
Hey, it's the same.
It's fun.
It's what we do.
So this is the map of Stone Street, which is basically a map that hasn't changed that much, but we kind of issue it just to let everyone know where everything is going to be. It's one gateway and everyone comes in and out. See?
Excuse
Coming
us.
in and out. The one gateway.
End of tomorrow it'll all be sorted. What are we shooting, Mark?
Don't tell them anything. Don't give away any secrets.
Does anyone know? No, no one knows. That is a $100,000 question.
We have some general parameters of what we're going to be shooting, when we're going to be shooting and where we're going to be shooting. We can fill in the rest later.
We'll find out tomorrow at 11:30. She's right, she's clever, she's smart. Welcome back, everybody. Andy Serkis is here and able to work, so we'll do some new shots with Andy and Jimmy. It's interior Denham's cabin because we have no exterior. Do we?
No, we don't.
No.
So here we are. We have 1 week to finish building our sets before we start shooting pickups, particularly in K stage here. We're putting in the ship's hold, the native village part of, and some generic jungle.
All the sets are in storage and it's just a matter of pretty much piecing them together, even though it's not quite that easy, but this is just for our use for continuity, so we can put things back together as they were.
We're just going through the testing phase at the moment. There's about 280 odd space lights rigged in there.
Got 6 40-foot container loads of gear coming in from overseas. 14,000 metres of wheel and cable we've got.
On top of the 170 shooting crew and makeup and wardrobe and stuff, we still have a huge, construction department and art department and greens department.
Pickups are good. It's more fun than making the movie.
Shane D will just go up and do a couple of checks first, like the good coordinator he is, before he throws up the disposable stunties.
At this stage, we're in the process of converting one of these lovely chorus girl wigs into a Jimmy double that hopefully you will never see on the film.
We've got principal cast coming back into town, so every opportunity possible we're trying to get hold of them so we can get ADR needed for the show.
It's gone well. We made excellent progress. We did 7 pages yesterday. You should, because there's no such thing as a slow death, see? Not at the end.
It's just basically the same team getting back together again for a couple more weeks of shooting. Being able to go back on the set and hang out with the guys and do a little bit more shooting's fun. Something to look forward to, so that's what we'll be up to come Monday morning.
We'll be doing the usual 7:30 crew calls, and there may be some overtime required. We'll warn you now, get your sleep, won't be long, we'll be over and done in 2 weeks. Then it's another party. Another party.
Team starting to assemble.
We're actually ready with lighting.
We're ready with lighting, we're ready to shoot. We've just got them off the plane and we're ready to shoot.
Come on!
Yes, that's how it was. And boom.
What's special about today is I'm here with all my friends And we've got some nice rocks, still photographer, crew everywhere.
This is the earliest I've been up in 4 months.
Wave, say hi, we're back. Good. See, that's what's special about today, because we're all here.
That's gonna help bring it back. I don't feel like we have left, dude. I feel like I've been in this hole the whole time saying compliment to the chef. Compliment to the chef!
Oh, God. Oh.
I've been in this cage the whole time, so I really haven't accomplished much.
I'm psyched that we're doing the pickups because I think I've gotten better as an actor. And I think I'm going to blow Pete away with some of my new acting techniques I'm going to bust out. Hold up.
Wait.
I hope I look exactly like I did back then. I think it was like 3 years ago we first shot this in.
So what we've done is we've gone through the scenes that we've shot already, and we're just going to stick in little pieces, and occasionally we're going to shoot a new scene.
Okay, nerves rattled, looking around. So this is what the well-dressed man in the jungle should be wearing. The gun, the knife, the rope, the hat, the slicker.
It was constantly like this with Brophy over here while shooting. He was just consistently looking for attention.
He's right.
Next setup.
Move.
Everyone's running around getting ready. It's been a few months since we were last on the set shooting.
We assume that Jamie is kind of, hanging on to something like this.
Yeah. I love my job. Roll out of bed, roll onto a tree.
We should just do one more grab bag. That was pretty cool. Almost at the end of our first day of pickup shooting. Going well. Back in the jungles of Skull Island.
And action.
This time, it's a really interesting part of shooting because obviously, there's part of you that would love to shoot, weeks and weeks and weeks of pickups. I mean, why wouldn't you? Because there's always so many new ideas. But we're pretty pleased with this film. It's a fairly tight, linear piece of storytelling.
And cut. Good. Cut.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry we broke you on our first day. We'll get worse.
Well, we're still on pickups, and today we are going to spend some time with the Venture crew. Of course, Venture crew have had to go through a severe boot camp in which they learn the art of waiting, because after all, that's what a good crew member does. They sit around, they do nothing except drink tea, eat biscuits, and smoke cigarettes.
Hey, Marco.
It's 11 o'clock and we're here to do pickups today. I'm not sure what stage we're working on. I think we're maybe on the boat. This is Trailer Park. This is where the stars live. We go around here where the stars don't live.
Get in there, you. I'm just processing through makeup and wardrobe. Okay, somebody must be ready for makeup by now.
Right.
Oh, good
That's
on
me.
you, Jed.
Because
He's well known as the quickest one out of them all. More ways than one.
Sometimes I'm not that quick.
I'm going to be half mustache man. Hello there. What do you think?
And we get into our costumes and our makeup, and then they tell us what scene we're doing, and we get on set and we put on our gear with its guns and ropes and whatever other stuff we've got. The rope's on the wrong side. I'll have to change it over.
Nope, that's wrong.
That's exactly how it went before.
And there we go.
We are ready to go at a moment's notice.
That's right.
Shouldn't be too far away, gentlemen. Seems to be a little unsure who may be required at this stage.
Island. You. Is it on each letter now? Move in and out. You move in. Nice shot. Oh, sneaky bugger.
Have you even acted yet today?
No.
So we're just taking Lee Hartley down to the 80s Portacom to stand by for digital mapping of his face.
My pimple's going to be
on.
digitised for eternity.
There it is.
Bastards!
Tripping into somebody putting...
The old porridge.
I mean, if we were in tight, we may not see it.
Please.
I'm just flip into Lee's thing. I think you'd spoon a dollop into Lee's, then grab the thing and go straight back into shaving again. You know what I mean?
And roll sound.
Speed.
Okay, here we go. And action. Cut. All right.
Call that.
Closing one eye, smoking a fag, making the boat move,
something else. I couldn't remember.
making the boat move, shaving with my left hand, stirring with my right. It's all. This is my bête noire scene.
It's 4:30. We've been here since 11:30.
Shouldn't be too far away, guys.
For the last 5 hours, we're sat around in costume having amazing conversations with each other about brilliant things.
So I've got my Tenacious D album and I was going to get Jack to sign it.
Is that right?
And that's a wrap, folks. Thank you very much.
And that's the word. We can wrap everybody else still in the cafe.
Sorry, guys. Unfortunately, you are wrapped.
Yay! Oh.
Oh, here he is.
Apparently they're a little mad because you got to go on set twice today.
Oh, actually three
You only went
three
for a
times.
facial.
I've been there since 8 o'clock this morning. And I had a line.
You had a line, did you? Well, a good line with it. We've been on set.
Day's over. Get porridge smeared in my face along with shaving cream up my nostrils. It was good. It was good fun.
I can, yeah.
I look like Andy in his suit.
Right, see you tomorrow. Thanks very much. Bye. Thanks. So it's a day in the life of a glorified featured extra. We didn't get on set today. We sat around, played ping pong, ate food, had a good time, and now we're going home. And action.
So the thing with pickups is that you end up reproducing scenes that you shot months and months ago. Continuity is particularly important. Like this is a scene that we did shoot way back when I can't even remember, up on Mount Crawford in the big King Kong Wool village set that we built, and now we're in a studio. We don't really go on location, don't go outside of the studio for pickups. You just simply recreate wherever it is, whatever it is gets built in the studio. It's amazing what you can get away with, actually. As long as you got those big wide shots from the original shoot, these pickups all tend to be much tighter, you know, close-ups of people's faces saying dialogue.
Look on the shelf.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Do you want to get one very simple?
No, I've asked him to. Yeah. Continuity is very important. Victoria Sullivan becomes somewhat of a hero during these pickup shoots because she has to look at actually where people's hair was hanging 8 or 9 months ago, and those exact strands of hair have to be sculpted into the precise same place. Continuity is very important, more so than ever before.
The importance of continuity is keeping the audience member flowing with the story instead of thinking, oh, I wonder how they did that shot, and oh, look, that was there before and now it's gone.
The thing is, first there was like a little dot of it, and then I thought, oh, I'll just pull out that little dot of material, and then before I knew it, zhink, a whole string came out of my costume, and now I'm worried it doesn't look the same in continuity. Except I don't think you can really notice. It's just, what are you doing?
I'll tidy it up.
No. It's okay. Thank you for the thought. Andy. Speak. And action.
We're trying to fudge the sailors' continuity because we don't have all the sailors that we did have in the main shoot. We have 2 and 3 different guys turn up each day. Sometimes we've changed their costumes because we're only seeing legs. Sometimes we've put them in dark and light shirts. If you're really smart, you'll see a sailor that's in one place and another place at the same time.
Handed off a rifle to Lobo.
Yeah, well, can we get Lobo over?
Yes, absolutely. Bring Lobo on.
Yeah, bring Lobo on. Surprise guest, here's Lobo. No. You don't have to copy what you did before, but you will probably see that. You have to just do some different things, you know what I mean, to sort of add to it. Of course, one of the things with pickups that you have to do is match the lighting. Water, which we may have done for real in the original shoot, we now, we use various lighting effects to simulate the look of a ship travelling at sea. Reflective kind of things and movement of lights can do a lot to make you feel like it's something that's moving.
So these guys up here are sticking some mirrors and stuff, and we'll bounce a bit of light around.
The mirrors are for reflecting the xenons back in here, to act like sunlight. They're jungle mirrors, so basically I can make 4 shafts of light out of 1 lamp. And basically they're on that grid up there. That whole grid moves around, so it makes the sun move around.
Yes.
Wrong movie, wrong movie. It's the wrong film. He's on the wrong set.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Evan. Wrapping you guys. We'll do Lambia Store in the morning.
So that's 1.5 weeks of our pickups down, only half a week to go, which actually means only 2 or 3 more days shooting on King Kong, and then we're done. Maybe. To wait and see. I can feel the weight, Kong's weight, lifting off my shoulders as we speak. Let's just pour a little, and as soon as you hear the pouring, stop pouring.
Pour a little. I will pour a little. What about this one? I will pour a little. Tell me what you think about this, though. What do you think about this?
Action.
No, not for me. I can't afford to get smashed.
This is the Edgar Wallace original Kong script.
I see it with my own eyes. And I was not drunk.
Did you get the first draft on eBay?
Got it somewhere else, yeah. Not on eBay, but
Last day.
Is it? There won't be no more pay tomorrow.
money?
I will not have no more food in my house, so I'm eating tonight in a serious way. See you later.
About number 17, light, sort of about that
Okay,
area.
but this is moving, right?
This is moving, so it'll just go
It'll
around.
keep going, right.
It'll
Okay,
just
so it's
go
pretty
around.
much straight in front of me.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty forgiving, your eyeliner, I think, so long as you just look up into that direction wherever you are.
I'm a Kong guy line.
Action.
And action.
We're going to donate the proceeds to his wife and kids.
Okay, good reset.
What are you going to miss the most?
Probably you guys coming and asking me questions.
Unemployment. Here we come.
Quite sad. And you're going to get me into trouble now.
Just for variation. Okay.
Set.
Action, Naomi. Cut. So here we are at the very end of pickups. Last day, Adrian and Jack are about to finish very shortly within the next few minutes, and it's all coming to an end.
Yes, it's the formal end of principal photography, and I, for one, am really pleased. I can't wait to go to the movies and see it.
It's exciting that it's coming near the end. It'll be sad.
I'm delighted because I'm going on holiday now.
Looking forward to sleeping in tomorrow, though.
This is it. This is it. This is where you kill us.
It is.
Last chance to kill us.
Yep. So you're at the top, Jack, and Adrian, you're down there, and this is basically going to be an insert and as the log falls down.
All right, here we go. Let's bring up the lights. And action! Cut! Cutting there. Cut.
Officially the last shot of King Kong. Video Diaries, get the last shot. December 14th, coming your way.
Theatre near you.
Probably deserve a drink or two, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Here's to the motion picture business.
Let's do one more.
Okay, one more.
Rep, whatever. Miniatures, shoot day 320 and counting.
Hello, KongIsKing.net. We are sitting here in the lovely Park Road Post doing ADR with 18 weeks left to go until the movie opens. And
Can we get some breath in the voice?
Some
please?
breath.
Just to try and get some breath in the
We've
voice.
got 18 weeks to go!
Don't say that,
Nobody's panicking. It's all
No
good.
one's panicking. It's all good. We're here in the ADR room. Check it out.
Shut up and get to work.
ADR is either alternative dialogue recording or automatic dialogue replacement. What ADR actually ends up being, though, is the process of replacing all of the dialogue in the film, or breaths, or grunts, or screams, or kisses, or anything to do with the human mouth, any vocal quality.
You should, because there's no such thing as a slow death, see?
Look, ADR basically means you're going to be stuck in a dark room all day.
It can drive you insane.
On the set, they often have, wind machine noise, or they might have, in fact, planes, sort of, in fact, flying over. There's any number of things can actually destroy the actual sound, on the day. So once they've actually cut the scene, we have to get the actors, in fact, back in and record again their sort of lines in the scene. At the end of the day, we're probably going to be, in fact, recording about 90+% of the dialogue.
The challenge here is to make the ADR look really natural, look in sync with their mouths, so that people aren't questioning it and going, that doesn't quite look right. And making it sound natural as well.
In ADR, you get these scripts, but it's not only every line, it's every little thing that you do. So one cue will be breaths.
We spend a lot of time shaping breath so that they have a presence, so that it doesn't sound just like ADR.
Breaths arriving with camera.
Feverish nightmare breaths.
Breaths while lost in thought.
Concerned breaths.
Breaths looking around for source of gunfire.
Distracted breaths.
An inhale, which is nice, to balance it.
ADR, Acoustic Development Research. Mostly it's because it doesn't sound good, but sometimes it's because the acting was...
Peter and Fran have always, and this is one of the things that they taught me, is that you get another shot at the story in post. And one of the places is it's not just in the edit, it's also in the ADR. Because voice is actually what carries performance.
Actually, it's kind of cool from an actor's perspective because it gives you a second chance to act, essentially.
In a lot of ways, it's harder than the original performance because you gotta match the lips perfectly. You gotta match the intensity.
You're going to be really up when you see it. So up is good.
Anne, come on in. Let me introduce you to the crew.
Don't erase that one.
Okay.
I think it might be a golden nugget on closer inspection.
Okay.
The actor has to come in here kind of cold.
Lost in what?
Watch himself act in the scene and actually get himself back into that mode so that he can both, in fact, give us the actual performance on the day or something better.
Lighten the ship! Anything that's not bolted down goes overboard!
I lost my breath.
Yeah, that's why we're going one cue.
The other reason to do ADR is because you've reshaped the storytelling, so you're picking up lines that have never existed before.
You can totally write new dialogue and throw it into the scene.
For real.
Yes. 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 Would be funny if we did a Peter. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do a little homage.
Yeah, a little homage. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Cool. That was funny. That's Pete.
What's the hardest part about ADR? Getting Jack Black to keep his pants on. It's pretty hard.
I feel like I could hear my pants a little bit wrestling.
I can hear the...
Let me take care of that. Let's do it again.
Hi, welcome to this edition of the Production Diaries. We thought at this point we'd kind of talk a little bit about what the miniatures art department does and its relationship to the work we're doing here at Miniatures. We have a terrific miniatures art department, and the man who's really responsible for putting that all together is Paul Van Omen, who's head of the shop.
Shot 7, we're just about at the ledges. The model is sort of finished at Weta, John Baster and his team. They essentially complete it without dressing. So this is an undressed set. This is how it comes from Weta. It's partially painted, and we will turn it into something like this.
This is an example after a few hours of dressing. Get the model team on it, get the Skull Island look.
The first thing is we get presented with some, perhaps some early conceptual artwork.
We've got to interpret what the production illustrators did. So we had a workshop, which in turn reflects Peter's vision of a particular scene, interpret it in a small scale. Then my guys have to come in and work out exactly what the camera's going to see and exactly what has to be hyper detailed.
Well, the set we're working on here is Anne's Run. We use a lot of live plants, a whole lot of bits and pieces that we can just put in, and they're just sitting outside, and we just go and get them and whack them.
Dangerous twig, probably be used on 3 sets so far.
Or this one that hasn't been used on any.
It's very hard not to walk into somebody's garden, even on a Sunday, when you're and not look at something and go, oh, can we have that?
Welcome to the greenhouse. Oh, see, no, I can't do it. Okay. Well, this fern on a live action set is represented by this one on a 10th scale set.
It works. It's amazing how well it works.
And that's the whole secret, is how do you scale a tree down so that you make a tree that's 1/12 of full size but still has moving leaves and moving branches? How do you do that? How do you scale dirt? How do you scale moss? How do you scale pebbles? That's where the artistry of the model technicians comes in.
We've got about 9 people in the miniatures team who are responsible for all the dressing.
Nicole, Bruce, Simon, Fraser, Kate, Sam, Ivan, Lucy.
We're good at trees, and we're good at vines, and we're exceptionally good at moss.
When we're dressing, one of the crucial layers is the moss. To make it look real and better, like in here, the contrast between that and that, once you burn it.
Detail, actually. That's one of the things that I really love about model making, is that you're trying to create something which is going to hopefully appear huge, and you've got to fool everyone into thinking it's that big, when in fact it might only be this big, and so you've got to put all the right detail into it.
The secret of doing good miniatures is having model technicians that really understand the nature of scale and how to quickly and efficiently create a big environment, let's say like this rocky surface, so that even though the camera's really close to it, it still stands up and looks in your mind's eye exactly like what you expect that moss or that algae or whatever to look like. Those kind of issues, which are the things that make the miniature not be a miniature but be the real world.
Model making is, particularly on King Kong, there's a lot of pleasure in creating the environments.
It can be quite, get your adrenaline going to make sure that you meet the deadline.
It hasn't got boring though.
What do I like about model making? It makes me feel like a kid.
Skull Island, it's your worst nightmare and your greatest dream.
10 weeks to go for us, probably 17 weeks until the film was released, so a lot of stuff to do. Oh, hello. 16 weeks to go, and it's very busy. It doesn't look very busy at the moment because I'm sitting here talking to the video diary. But the real work is obviously happening very much in the digital department at the moment, and one of the most busy areas of the digital world is the rotoscope and paint department. So we thought we would devote our production diary this week to genuine unsung heroes. These are the people that make the shots look as good as they look. They take them and they do what they need to do to have them ready for Kong or creatures or backgrounds to be inserted in.
Behind me, I'd like a big killer whale that jumps over the ship, and I don't even notice it.
It's a majorly important cleanup and preparation department in the digital world.
Rotoscoping is the manual process of cutting out things that we don't want in the frame and leaving only what we want.
So essentially you can think of roto as like a digital cookie cutter. Tedious digital cookie cutter.
What tends to happen if a director is under pressure or stressed by making the day is you tend to say, don't worry about the blue screen, don't worry, we haven't got time, we'll shoot it and they'll fix it with the roto later. Well, these are the team that do the fixing later.
We will work on 98% of the shots that are in the movie of King Kong.
This is what the shot looks like when you first open it. This is when you usually have your moment to yourself, cry or whatever. And you realize you have to roto each of these edges here.
I hope we're not killing their enthusiasm by all the horrible shots that we're throwing at them. I mean, we have roto shots from hell on this movie.
Normally the hardest things to rotoscope are hair and plants, long frilly plants, because they don't have a regular shape and their movement is totally illogical.
When I first got this shot, I looked at it, I played it back like this and thought, oh, that's not too bad. Look, it's just Anne running. You know, shouldn't be too hard. And then I realized, oh, there's all these leaves. That's when my jaw hit the ground.
It's incredibly intricate, fine work that has to happen. I'm sure the roto artists must suffer psychological problems.
You know, we don't get to jump around the room acting like forest animals or anything. Or when I go outside and take a walk, you know, see these trees and plants at the side of the road, kind of catch myself imaginatively drawing lines around them. You know, one of the hazards of the job that they don't tell you about.
Lots of people focus and concentrating while they carefully separate all these images that the director was too lazy to do on the day with a green screen or a blue screen. So I'm very sorry about that.
We understand that's the process. It's all about getting the shots done so they can get home and start a whole new day the next day. So that's the roto part. We also do paint.
Generally in paint, what we're supposed to be doing is removing things that aren't supposed to be there.
They have to paint things out like reflections and windows.
That would be through the windows, obviously, in that case.
Mm-hmm. That's not a very good thing, hard to fix.
For example, it's on the back wall, it's over this window, and probably worst of all, it's actually sitting on the window over the smudges. So it's not going to be easy.
That's what we're here for. That's our job. All our work is unseen. If you saw what we did, that means we've made a mistake.
Well, I've got a few shots coming up that they haven't even seen yet, so we'll put them to the test. I've got a couple of tricky ones up my sleeve, saving them to the last minute.
Scary stuff, Peter, scary.
Hello, 15 weeks to go. This week we've got something very interesting. It's another one of those behind-the-scenes areas that not a lot of people know about. I'm sure you'll appreciate that the big sound effects are obviously put in later, like Kong roaring and aeroplanes and that stuff. But what you may not be aware of is every tiny little subtle sound effect is also added in. And a lot of these are done by the Foley artists.
Foley is actually named after a fella by the name of Jack Foley, who started the whole process of putting sound effects in sync with pictures. Foley, yes, is basically replacing every human movement that happens in a film.
Actors do what's called ADR, and they replace their dialogue, and then we go into a sound recording studio and recreate everything that you see.
So we've got our footsteps, we've got people drinking cups of tea, or
doors closing, people having meals, you know, knives and forks. And on Kong there's a big boat called the Venture, so everything that happens on the boat we recreate.
all of the stuff going thrown overboard, like every single crate landing in the ocean, they're all done individually.
Very nice, thank you.
We were lucky, we were able to get a lot of the original props. The big old baskets, the cages, old wooden crates. We've got things off of the Venture itself, because that's only just parked down at the wharf here. So we've got all the rigging, the pulleys and things, because that's swinging around in the storm and that'll be hitting the side of the boat. And we'll be doing all their coats separately, because they've got these big, heavy, weatherproof coats. Oh, you name it. Yeah, got everything, including the kitchen sink, yeah.
So the process is that we work to the picture. We have our own screen in the room. You have to be in character pretty much, take on that character, especially when you're walking the feet through. So you really have to take on their mannerisms, weight changes. So it's sort of like a little dance, I suppose.
So what we're doing is we're doing all the hands on the, or the guns, and then we'll do gun on wood, and then gun straps, and then gun rattles, and so you do layers and layers and layers of sounds just to make one element. Here we go. They've got to convince me. Cool, that's good.
For Skull Island, where there are the natives, we wanted to create a different atmosphere there, so we gave them a little signature sound, which is the skulls and beads they wear around their necks.
Is it me?
And then there's also the thousands of feet when they're all trying to sacrifice someone on the island. All I can say is ouch. We also wanted to make the island have an own atmosphere, so it sounds different than anywhere else. So we gave like creaking bamboo sticks and just, you know, certain things that would give it more of an atmosphere. And also take it from the dry, we've just arrived, oh, it's nice and sunny, wow, this is a deserted island, to the wet, more intimidating, more sort of violent element of the scene.
This is the remains of all the previous Foley artists that used to work in this room.
It's great fun. It's challenging, it's rewarding, it's hilarious.
You're just locked away in your own little thing and do what you want, and at the end of the day you come out with a really good sound. It's a good thing. That's what I like about it. When you play it all back and it works.
Weeks to go, don't panic. Now, this week we're just going to have a look at things that are happening in the digital department. And one of the interesting things that they're actually doing, which is quite an advancement on the work we did for Lord of the Rings, is in the area of digital doubles. It's tough to shoot live action interaction with creatures that are that big, but with digital doubles it opens up a whole lot of opportunities to do interesting things.
Digital double is basically a high-tech stunt double for a character. So we'll put it into scenes where either it has to do something that a normal human would be killed in.
Like Kong picks somebody up, or a car takes somebody out on the street.
It also allows us to put actors into sets and environments that we never were able to build because they'd be too big. And it's much easier to use digital people rather than to have to shoot actors in front of blue screens and somehow fit them in, because that process has limitations. And yet with digital doubles, you're really unlimited in what you want to do.
And there's obviously a digital double and all the lead cast.
Our actors came, they shot the movie, and they went home again. But we can still do shots with our actors because we scanned them.
We've set up a studio to take pictures of all the principal actors so that we can use the textures and put those onto the digital doubles that we're going to create. And then we can do horrible things with them, and it'll look just like they're the real actors.
All right, so it appears that I have officially been cloned. I think I'm going to go have lunch.
We need to get a really good performance because it's not enough to have the digital double just walk around with a fixed expression on their face.
Previs man, a winner every time, can't beat Previs man.
Creating a digital double, it takes many departments within the facility to do so. Starts with modeling. The creature department goes to textures and shader department for the cloth simulations, the skin textures. Then it goes to lighting, where we're lighting the digital doubles into the shot and making sure that it looks seamless.
For the digital doubles, it's always a little bit more tricky because you want to be sure that they look exactly like the actors that you shot. So we have to be perfect. There is no room for freedom and creativity and imagination too much. And it starts from creating a perfect replica of her face and her body. We scanned her face, and that's what we're using. So at the end of that process, you just end up with a gray version of her. We have people with Photoshop and 3D paint tools who actually created textures for her.
Painting Naomi has been the biggest challenge that I've done because she's got beautiful skin, so it's very hard to replicate someone whose skin is so good. But then there's also the one slip. First of all, it's clean, and then she gets wet, and then it gets torn, and then it gets a bit more torn, and then it gets dirtier. So we have to match, every little nuance.
You also have people at the same time working on the animation rig, so people who are going to decide where the bones are, where the muscles are.
First step with DigiDoubles is having a way for the animators to put motion onto them, and for that we need a low-res puppet. Basically it acts a little like a marionette. You're able to grab the various controls that we've added and pose the puppet.
So we'll take a kind of naked digital double and put clothing on them and make it kind of look natural.
And that's what they give me. And I use those textures to make her believable. So at the end of that, she looks like a perfect replica of Naomi Watts with the proper colors for her skin and the proper hair as well.
For someone like Anne, who's such a feature throughout the movie, and we don't want to throw her off a cliff, and we don't want to do anything dreadful to her, but we can do it to the digital double.
We come up with crazy stories, and the technology allows us to, today to create them.
Of course, digital doubles will never replace actors. I mean, that's the big fear, and I think it's a lot of old nonsense, really, when people say, oh, well, we won't need actors anymore, we've got digital people. But, digital people don't have hearts and souls, and they can't provide everything that an actor can provide in a performance.
It's you.
12 weeks to go to the release of King Kong, and this week we're going to look at colour grading. And that's the process that you take your raw negative that got photographed on the set and you manipulate the colours, you change the lighting, the exposures, you do things to it. It's actually a very creative process.
Here in the scanning and recording department, we get the film in its physical form and we convert it into the digital image, which then goes off around the facility for the artist to work on. The film comes in onto this machine here, which is the RE laser film scanner. It's the newest scanning technology you can get, and we can start the scanning process.
Once all the images are digital files, we are then in a position to use this technology to grade the pictures.
What we use to grade the film is discrete luster. This software was pioneered on Lord of the Rings, so it's evolved and we're continuing to use that.
It's a very powerful tool in making the film a little stylized, making it look more real.
What we need to do is manipulate the images in terms of colour and density and shapes to create a mood and to make everything look like there's continuity. It's all shot at the same time.
Knowing that the DI process, digital intermediate grading, is going to be involved in a project before I start photography, I definitely make allowances for when I'm actually shooting the film. I generally deliver, knowing that it's going to go into this system, a much healthier negative, which means it's just got a little more exposure, or I overexpose the negative a little, and that's to make sure that we have full access to all the information in the shadows and the highlights.
What we normally do is to scan the entire movie, but we take a few selected sequences from throughout the film on a reel that's maybe 20 minutes long, and we create what's called the Colour Bible.
I've gone through and selected 2 or 3 shots from every scene for the entire movie, and then we've put looks on all of those, and then we show them to Andrew Lesnie or Peter Jackson, and then once they're happy with all of that, that's the reference that we use for all the scenes as the scenes are actually handed over to us.
So what we're doing is we're exploring opportunities. There's some stuff we look at, we think, well, is it possible to make it a little more realistic? Is there, something wrong with this picture, or, is it, that the highlights need a bit more of a lift, or, will it be sort of more interesting if we move it into a slightly different time of day? What we'll do is we'll then firm it all up so that, you don't know that there's been a grade there at all.
The colour timing can do a lot to change scenes that are shot like in daytime and you want to make it look like night. So if you want to darken a scene down, you can do that, but you may not want to darken somebody's face. So you can actually isolate the person's face, darken the rest of the frame, but keep the face brighter, or the eyes.
We need to bring out Anne's eyes because with the colour correction that I've applied to the image, her eyes are starting just to lose a bit of life. So what I'm working on at the moment is actually trying to bring that life and that vividness out.
And of course, with King Kong being 1933 period setting, we're using the digital colour timing to give it a look that's not contemporary. That just has a slight stylisation.
With this scene here, this is how the shot came in. It's all quiet. It's a bit of a wash over there, a yellow wash of this entire scene. When Peter turned this scene over to us, one of the things he said is, let's see if we can get some separation in terms of density and colour, just so it's not all one colour. So it was our job to try to extract some stuff out of this.
The jungles of Skull Island are a really important aspect of the look of the film, and the colour timing allows us to pick little pinpoints of light that are shining through the leaves and burn those out, give a lot of depth to what is essentially our composited miniature jungles.
And then we record it back out onto film, which will be how it's viewed by the general public.
Colour actually affects the mood of the film. It affects the experience of watching the film, just as the sound effects can, or the visual effects, or the acting. The colour is often overlooked, but it's a really, it's a key part of the creative process of the finished film.
Kia ora, welcome to the motion capture stage. It's 11 weeks to go till the movie comes out, but only 5 or 6 weeks until Weta Digital has to get all its visual effects shots, so fingers crossed. This week we're looking at the way that we bring King Kong to life, and there's 2 ways we do that. We do that with mocap and we do that with animation. This week we're looking at the motion capture and especially the motion edit side. So it all starts here in the motion capture stage. We put a lot of dots on Andy.
Andy, how old are you today?
21.
That's gorilla years.
Times like this, you really do wonder what you're doing with your life.
Andy does a particular performance. We take the pattern of dots, which the motion capture cameras see. We can figure out where those markers are moving in 3D, and from that pattern we figure out what muscle groups in his face are moving. And in those muscle groups in his face, we have a mapping from those to King Kong's face. And it turns out that humans and gorillas have quite a similar musculature.
The motion editing process involves taking the data that is captured on the day when Andy's performing on the motion capture stage, and then it's refined, cleaned up and enhanced so that he feels like a 24-foot gorilla rather than an actor.
And once the data of Andy is polished and looking good, we have to retarget it on Kong.
A lot of the data that we get from motion capture, a lot of times it needs extra tweaks.
They typically either need to polish the performance of Andy or change it, modify it.
There is quite a few shots where they do require a bit of performance change, which we can handle, like they don't have to go straight into animation.
And one of the neatest things about Mark Software, which is the actual brain behind this whole thing, is that it analyzes Andy Serkis' performance. It looks at how his face is moving as human, and then translates that as to how it would work as a gorilla.
There's a lot of great performance we get sort of in the first pass of the facial capture through the eyes and the brows. But the area that needs usually the most work is around the muzzle.
We're using this type of system just so we could have some type of human interaction with that data after it goes through that translation. These muscle groups are what kind of make him angry. So if we increase them, he becomes angrier. And then we trigger the muscles that make him happy. Let's furrow his brows a little bit more. We start getting that kind of worried anxiety look in his face. And again, it would be the same performance, just different muscles creating that emotion.
I'm just trying to adjust a few muscles that maybe weren't picked up as good in the motion captures. You can see he kind of starts, he's really, really angry and wound up, and then he suddenly lost it. So basically the transition doesn't exist, which is something I had to add. And just trying to keep the tension on the eyes. And one good thing that we get through the mocap is the realistic eye movement.
When you're looking up and down, you're deforming your lid because the eyeball is not perfect sphere and it's pulling. There is a friction, so it's pulling the eyelids. We could transfer this into eye direction, into gazing. It worked really well. If the thing looks good, it doesn't really matter if it's motion capture or if it's animation. So as long as the mocap is used where it really fits, it's a great tool.
So hopefully that gave you a little insight into one of the ways we're approaching creating Kong's performance, which is through motion capture and motion editing. And next week we'll be looking at keyframe animation, which is another one of the ways we've helped to bring Kong to life. Following on from last week, we're going to look at the animation department, which is where a great deal of Kong has been brought to life for the screen. It's the 5th of October, and animation has actually 4 weeks left to deliver all the animation for the show. I think Carl Denham had an easier job trying to make his movie.
On this production, just like on a lot of the big visual effects shows now, there's two main ways of getting your animation. Mocap, which stands for motion capture, or keyframe animation.
For Kong, there are a lot of aspects of his performance that were designed and created and explored on the mocap stage, but to actually bring him to the screen with the flexibility that we need to give Peter what he wants and the changes that he wants to make, a lot of Kong has been created through keyframe animation.
I'm setting some keyframes right now. Use keyframe animation. You animate key poses of the animation that you're most interested in to start with.
And that may be one pose every second. So you may work out this pose, and then this pose a second later.
The computer can help me to work out what's going to happen in between.
So by working out your different in-betweens between your key poses, you can work out forms and dynamic. And you can build your shot that way.
Go change it. I will. I hope I get an approval tomorrow.
The mocap is great because it's the performance that Pete wants, but the motion capture that they did can't really get every little, brow and nuance. So what the motion capture can't do, we can do by hand, which is the keyframing of the face, and give it some nice little subtleties.
We look at ourselves in the mirror, looking for small subtleties and little muscles around the nose, like nose flaring. Less is more, and just creating something very subtle is probably the most difficult thing to do. So the simple things that you think you see on the screen are actually the hardest.
An animator will therefore do a lot of technical stuff, but we try and bring in a lot of performance stuff and physicalizing things and acting it out.
Animators, we act out our shots whenever we're not sure about really the physicality and we want to get inside the mind and inside the body of Kong. It makes it a lot easier to get your shot done and to get it done quickly.
Cam here is going to be the Tyrannosaurus Rex. I'm going to play King Kong.
Take a bite at Anne.
Yeah.
All right.
Peter's telling fantasy here. Yes, we want the power, we want the physics, we want the believability, but we want to be able to go to a more kind of a magical world, add a little spice into things.
The thing is with dinosaurs is that nobody really knows how they're supposed to move, so you can take a few liberties there.
And we do use reference for that. And the reference for a T-Rex, generally speaking, you look at ostriches for leg movements, but I also like to go into the feline world. You can get their tails, when they get angry or they, sense something out there. They can have that focus, and then the tail starts to whip, and it becomes a part of the performance. And that's not going by any kind of paleontology. That's completely fantasizing it, but it makes it more powerful and it makes it stronger.
I think a lot of the animators are being challenged more than they have before.
The premiere is on the 4th of December, and everyone's here 7 days a week, cranking, trying to get it all done.
It's been a lot of hard work, a lot of good hard work.
I'm just trying to work out the physics of a gorilla. It's 25 foot tall, chasing a cab.
What's a good animator? A good animator, nothing phases them.
So, I'm sorry, what was your question?
Back to work.
Hi, welcome back to Miniatures. It's about 9 weeks to go until King Kong is in the theaters, but for us it's only about 2 weeks to go because we have to finish shooting all the miniature elements to go to digital for compositing just so we can meet that 9-week deadline. In past episodes, we've showed you how we build the sets and how we dress the sets and how we work with the art direction and stuff. Now we're going to show you how we light them and how we shoot miniatures for King Kong. So let's take a look.
We've got quite a few things going on at the moment in a sort of rush towards the end. We're shooting Central Park, Kong's Lair, which is where Kong lives, the Spider Pit, and another part of that, which is called the Log Chasm.
We've done well over 1,000 of shots at this point. When you're shooting miniatures, our goal is always to make everything convincing. Now, one of the things that you notice in a film that doesn't use miniatures is that every shot's pretty much in focus. You're out in the sunlight, you can see things that are near the camera in focus, you can see things that are far away in focus. And the thing that kills most miniature shots that don't work is the fact that stuff in the near ground, stuff near the camera, isn't sharp. In order to get that convincing look that everything's in focus, it means that we have to adjust the lens in such a way that we can keep even the near stuff in focus. It's very, very tricky. Backside of that is that you've got to use a tremendous amount of light when you do that.
One of the things we often have to do is try to replicate the characteristics of sunlight for a particular scene. We try to match what Andrew Lesney, who's the director of photography, who did on the day.
Out in the real world, sun's millions and millions of miles away. If you're dealing with a small source that's that far away, its beams will be parallel, whereas you come in with a big light like a 20K, its beam keeps going out. It doesn't go in straight line, so your shadows tend to change.
It may not be obvious to you, but there's something wrong. You say, wait a minute, that doesn't look like real sunlight.
What we've been doing is using multiple sources of light so that it looks as though there's a big source and they're all coming from a similar direction.
Then there's another interesting thing we have to deal with. Things that are far away in the real world are not as sharp as things that are up close. Not in terms of focus, but in the fact that you're looking through a lot of air. How do we create a lot of air when the furthest away thing in the miniature is only 50 feet away?
Adding smoke helps create that atmospheric perspective, and seeing that graduation all in one scene, that's the thing that makes you really feel like you have a lot of depth and it feels really big.
So that's focus is critical, the character of the light is critical, and the atmospheric perspective, the diffusion on distant objects is critical. Those are the three keys to making a miniature work and be believable. This is a nice modern Aeroflex 435 camera, which is our good old workhorse. But half the cameras we're using are Mitchells, are made 40 years ago. They're just as good now as they were then. Beautiful production camera for the kind of work that we do.
For most all the shots we do, we rely on motion control equipment.
A motion control package is a camera, a dolly, and a crane that are all controlled by a computer.
We really have to use motion control because we need to do exact repeat pass photography. Having the camera move exactly the same way over and over and over again.
Its relevance in terms of miniatures is being able to put a scene that was shot in real life up against the scene that was shot in miniatures, and to be able to deal with the scaling of the two shots. It can also mean that Weta Digital, when they are creating the animation of Kong, it's going to line up to what's actually happening in the background. Most of the miniatures we shoot multiple passes because it allows the compositors to actually manipulate the overall shot.
Well, we make sure that we've given them soft key light, hard key light, diffuse light, and so forth, so they can take these different elements and lay them together and produce just about any look they want.
On Rings, Pete had several units all over the North and South Island. But in this case, the entire film was done pretty much right here on the lot. So Pete's been using the miniature units as his location scenic units.
I think it's daring and brave of Peter and to have that confidence in what we're doing to actually put that much of the movie entirely in a miniature environment.
It's been a huge monumental task, but it gives Pete the ultimate control over creating Skull Island.
So here we are, and it's 8 weeks to the release of the film, and this week we have a very special guest with us, two very special guests in actual fact. We have Bob Burns and his very special possession, the original King Kong.
I've known Peter for quite a few years, and then Peter one day said, hey, how would you like to come over and see some of the shooting or whatever, and better yet, how would you like to have a cameo in the film? Here I am today, looking, well, better than I normally look, as a matter of fact. I don't usually dress this well.
We've been married next year's 50 years, and our whole marriage has been fandom and enjoying movies and all the people who make them mostly. I can't tell you how exciting that is and what a wonderful life it's been because of it.
And action! And cut, great.
The greatest thing about doing the cameo, the way we did it, it was Peter's very last live-action shot for the film.
And I'm done. Finished shooting. Woohoo!
Yeah. We're both King Kong fans. In fact, I have the original King Kong puppet that I brought with me to New Zealand to show the Weta people and everybody of how he looked like when he was a young gorilla.
Incredible piece of history just contained in what's a very primitive piece of mechanical engineering. It's well made, but it is brilliantly simple.
I mean, it's an icon. And to see how he was made, even though he's just a skeleton now, to see how the fingers worked and think that Willis O'Brien did every one of these movements and stuff, and it's an amazing piece.
Everybody working very, very hard to complete the film has had a major distraction this week as Bob has been touring all the facilities with the original Kong.
Oh, wow. That's the boy. We should take him over to the lair. Oh, my God. Well, that's a sight I never expected to see, ever. Look at that. How cool is that?
I've seen the drawings that Peter had of the actual drawings of which this guy was built, but this is the first time that I've ever actually seen it in the flesh.
And a couple of days ago, I was somewhere at a meeting and I heard over the radio, Kong's at the miniature stage and he's getting animated by Alex Funky. Is that right?
That's very true.
Oh, my God.
Alex took him and set him up by the wall, the Great Wall. The old Kong and the new Kong set, and he almost looks the right scale. He's very close.
The tingle of history. Absolutely wonderful.
So you've had a little bit of a tour around. Who gave Kong the biggest reception, do you think, out of all our different departments?
Well, I would say probably the animation department.
They would have gone.
They were. I'm telling you, they were like little kids. They were animating him. They were moving him around. I mean, he hasn't had a workout like this since 1933. I'm sure.
It's really cool to have both worlds here. This is how they animated Kong 70 years ago, and this is how they animate Kong today.
Well, I suppose a few of our visual effects shots are going to be a little late this week. I mean, it's never mind. It's all for a good reason.
That's my fault.
When I knew that we were getting a visit from the Eighth Wonder, I just something that I'd like to do. And it's all based on a photograph.
Peter has the pterodon or pterodactyl that attacks, tries to get Fay Ray, and Kong throttles him.
This is what's left of the original pterodactyl that Kong fights on the lair.
Look at that.
Hasn't got his wings anymore, so it would be kind of cool, wouldn't it, to put him back where he belongs? Should we put him back in Kong's
I
hand?
absolutely think so. I think that would be a wonderful thing to do.
We'll pretend that he's holding Fay Ray in that hand there. And now this shoulder is kind of out, and this elbow is down, and he's got his wrist is turned around. That's the interesting thing.
Yeah. You're doing Willis O'Brien right now.
Yeah. And now the pterodactyl's mouth is open, and it's trying to bite. Look, it's trying to bite Kong's arm.
It is, yeah. He's
there he goes. Step back, don't breathe. There we go.
Wow. You talk about heart pounding. It's total magic. These two puppets, gone from each other for 72 years, all of a sudden they're back. You're about to see history being, I guess, remade, you might say that. This Kong is going to be reanimated after 70-something years, which has to be some sort of a record for a puppet being animated again. And what's going to be interesting about this, since he doesn't have the fur on him anymore and stuff, you're going to see how the skeletal structure actually moves. So you can imagine what it would be like without the fur and seeing him like this. And it's got to be absolutely incredible. Kong lives again.
When you're dealing with something like King Kong, it's just way more than being a movie. There's so much history. It was a film that made me want to
we all
be a
do.
filmmaker. It's very important to us. It was a really symbolic moment in time to be hosting the armature that started us on our journey to the film that we're making.
Kong is leaving the building.
Welcome. Here we are on the dubbing stage for King Kong. It's 7 weeks to go before you're going to see this incredible movie. And this is the last step before it gets processed and then attached to the film and arrives at the movie theater for you to enjoy. We are, this week, laser focused on dinosaurs. We've done a lot of Kong vocals, but this week we're spending time with the Brontosaurus, the Wetosaurs, and the T-Rex. Ultimately, we're building tracks that will carry forward to the final mix.
The final mix is where we take the music, the sound effects, and the dialogue, and we combine them all down to create the final soundtrack. So basically, the way we have it divided up on these mixes is we have one sort of mixer that handles each one of those three areas. The dialogue is handled by Mike Semanek.
Bring them over here!
And the effects is handled by Chris Boyes. And for the music, we have Mike Hedges.
My responsibilities are taking the score and putting it to the picture. And King Kong, it's a love story. And in that, it's full of emotion. The music is going to play such a huge part in this film.
Been focusing on getting reels 1, 2, and 3 in shape for the final mix. I mixed the production sound, the dialogue that was recorded on the set, as well as the ADR, which is dialogue replacement, and make it sound natural.
My apologies for not being able to offer you a cabin. Have you found an enclosure to your taste?
Dialogue is really the driving force between a lot of the volumes in films, and one of the things I do hate is like trying to force the dialogue up over things unnaturally, and I have to know how loud the music's going to be against the sound effects, where to place the dialogue. I'm going to set the dialogue at a level that's comfortable for audience members to listen to, and they have to wrap around it. In scenes where there is no dialogue, they can take it away, you know.
And I'm next door over here cooking up a whole brew of sounds that's going to plow right over his dialogue. And on the day, I'll have to figure out how to get out of the way. Literally, I have hundreds of tracks going, and then there'll be the 6 tracks of music that I've got to figure out how to dodge and weave and kind of weave myself into it in such a way that I'm not stepping on the music, I'm not stepping on the dialogue. And then, of course, we'll have the times where Peter will say, you know what? We need the sound effects to drive this scene, and the music will have to completely get out of the way or just, you know, sort of play a thread underneath. And so it's kind of a give and take all day long, frame by frame, scene by scene.
Gonna have the ship's engines all over the dialogue. Seagulls. Camera noise, wind. Christ knows what else.
I don't care, Mike. You're the sound recordist. Make it work.
We have to be very careful about picking our moments of rocking and picking our moments of subtlety.
That's always on the forefront of our agenda, is to make this exciting and compelling to the audience.
You don't want to walk out of King Kong and go, oh yeah, that was okay. You want to come out of King Kong and go, man, that was fantastic. That rocked my world. You're going to want to see it 3 or 4 times just because you miss bits and pieces, because you're probably hiding, as my wife will be. Welcome, everybody. 6 weeks to go. Pressure on. Great place to be. Last week, Michael, Chris, and I introduced you to the final mix process. Today, we'd like to show you the mixing console and a few of the tricks of the trade that we do as mixers to produce the soundtrack that will be King Kong.
Today we're putting in the freshly scored music, putting just the finishing touches on reel 2. What we have here is a film mixing console. Ethan Van der Onder will build with his crew this wonderful palette of sounds. And then they'll bring all those sounds down here, and that's when I will sit at the console and I'll take all these tracks that they've edited and I will start playing with all the tools that I have.
She's standing at the railing. She doesn't know it yet, but they are sailing towards disaster.
People go, wow, look at all these knobs and buttons. Yeah, but you know what? It's only one strip here. They're all the same. It's just duplicated. So once you learn one, you know them all. Each voice of each actor or character comes in on these faders. Then you get to see, whoa, how loud you can actually make it, or how soft you can make something, or equalizing it, you know, how bright. Wow, it's too bright, or, you know, too low-endy. I can put a lot of bass in somebody's voice who doesn't really have bass in it.
It's not ethical. What are they going to do, sue me? Huh? Get in line. I'm not going to let them kill my film.
Each fader has, in my case, a different part of the orchestra on. And in that, we will have the percussion split off. So if Peter wants to have a different feel for any given reason, we'll be able to pull the orchestra down, which is the strings and the cellos, and raise the percussion, the drums, the timps, all of the exciting elements.
On each channel, I have knobs that allow me to pan the sound around the room. I can pan it over here to the left. I can pan it to the right surround here and then over to the left surround. Conversely, we have aux sends. Aux sends allow me to take my sound and send it to an outboard device. An outboard device can be any number of things. Typically they're reverb, echo.
A lot of times, if you look at a scene, it can go very deep. So we put some sounds farther back, sort of try and make sounds three-dimensional, and other ones up closer. And I often have to use reverb to do that, or echo. We also use a thing called a subharmonic generator, which will take the big events and add a low frequency element to make it just seem more massive and bigger.
The visual effects department just added, which I think is really cool, a train that goes by in the window just on the right shoulder of Carl here. Well, in reality, that sound may be really loud if we were right there with Carl. In the emotional sense of the film, we're really dialed into his dialogue, so we just want to get a presence of that tram as it goes by. So I'm going to put it in
We were
very
shooting Singapore,
gently.
right? That's what you told her. Yeah, but we're not shooting in Singapore. God damn it, Preston, all you had to do was look her in the eye and lie.
And that wasn't gently. So let's try that again, and we got to pan it right.
Yeah, but we're not shooting in Singapore. God damn it, Preston, all you had to do was look her in the eye and lie. I gotta get to a phone.
Anyway, so that's kind of a basic idea of what we do with our mixing console. Moving forward, that's all we ever do. Ultimately, all of those elements sit on the screen in a way that the audience says, yep, I'm here. I am in that jungle with this dinosaur, and thank God I get to be here, but I don't have to feel as if I'm gonna be in his mouth.
Hi, it's James here, and we're in my studio. And here in Los Angeles, this is where I write and do all the mock-ups of all my scores, and especially the score to King Kong, which we have. I think we're 5 weeks away from the release, and we've recorded about an hour and a half of music, about an hour and 10 minutes to go, and things are going well, and I have an unbelievable amount of work to do, and I'm having a ball. One note at a time.
James pretty much comes in the morning, locks himself in his control room, and just writes from about 9 a.m. to about 2 to 3, depending on a.m., not p.m.
It's this sort of a... That was strings, however. But you remember that sort of, and then the...
He's writing the music for tomorrow morning right now, and then they'll get the arrangement time to do it at probably midnight, and then the copyists have to do it at 4 in the morning, and here we show up, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in the morning, and we're ready to play it.
We're here recording at the moment at Sony Studios in Culver City in Los Angeles, in the room that used to record all the old MGM musicals and many other things.
Wizard of Oz was scored here in 1939, and hundreds of movies in between.
Have you recorded on this stage?
We did The Frighteners there, yeah, with Danny, a long time ago. Yeah.
It's a pretty cool place.
It's a great place.
Rosha would have recorded here, Waxman would have recorded here, and possibly Steiner too. So it's kind of wonderful, you know.
All set? Speed.
King Kong, 4M3B, take 312.
You know, right now there's so many movies going on in LA, it's hard to find stages, so we're just kind of having to take what's available.
So we're going here for 5 days, going to Tadeo for another 3 days, and going up to Fox for another 4 or 5 days, just because those are the 3 really big rooms and fit 108 people in the room and get the kind of sound we need.
We record the orchestra in the morning and the afternoon, and then when they go home, a choir comes in.
I was a King Kong fanatic as a kid, so the fact I had a tremendous amount of feeling for the idea of this movie. It's enormous. It's very big. Right. It's also very. There are places where it's incredibly small and vulnerable and delicate and quiet.
Well, you know, the first cue that James wrote actually was we call Kong Appears. It's right after Anne has been lowered down and Kong comes out of the fog. That was the first cue he wrote. I mean, it really did. It set the tone. It was a beautiful, beautiful sequence, you know.
He wrote the first 3 reels, which are pretty much done now.
Then he jumped to reel 9 to write the finale of the movie, because there were themes in the finale that he wanted to suss out that can be reprised earlier in the film.
I normally write 2 minutes a day is my normal goal, but since we were on this for about 5 weeks, I'm writing a lot.
He's got to get for up to 2 hours, 48 minutes of music done.
When we come back in at 41, it needs to be faster.
Okay. It's an incredibly condensed schedule. We're doing what normally would take 4 to 5 months in 5 weeks.
By the way, bravo. Beautiful sound. That was just great.
I'll tell you one thing that's not coming up. Sleep.
I've been working on it for about 11 days, and I've been averaging about 3.5 or 4 hours of sleep a night,
So these are long days. I haven't, I don't think I've ever worked so hard in my life.
Don't worry, you do have a couple more weeks.
I'm not there yet.
There's still a lot of the more massive, giant, action stuff from the middle of the film yet to do. And that's what the next week will entail.
At the moment, it's all working perfectly, and everything's coming down on schedule and going into the mix as planned. Whether that's still true in a week or so, we shall see.
Hello, welcome to this week's post-production diary. It's 4 weeks to go, and I'm sitting here in this rather comfortable chair talking to James Newton Howard, who I've never actually met, but I know him as the slightly out of focus fuzzy image on this TV that I've been looking at for the last few weeks. So, hi James.
Hello.
Hope to meet you one day.
Yeah, I'm hoping, that'll be an interesting moment.
Yeah.
I feel as though I know you quite well already, but, it'll be different.
Right. It's amazing. The technology is great because we've been able to basically, do everything that we needed to do on this film, having never met, being 6,000 miles apart, but it's been incredibly interactive.
I think it should be a very slow build. I think when she first comes out of that log, and she starts to sense something, you should come in and then slowly, oh my God, what's that? What is it? I wonder what it is. Oh no, what? It can't be. Oh, it's one of them.
The T-Rex fight was amazing. I mean, that was one of the biggest cues of this last week, wasn't it, at Todd AO?
Very loud.
Very loud.
Very critical section of the movie, so yeah, that was exciting.
One of the engineers went out and measured it at one point. We were well over 100 dB in the room, which is pretty loud. I mean, that's with no amplification.
We're at Todd AO in Studio City, California, near Burbank. This is the old CBS Radford studio, and we're here with LA's finest, moving incredibly quickly through a lot of music.
And the orchestra, they just constantly amaze me. You'd think it would take them a day or two to learn a piece this complicated. They pick it up so fast. And yeah, like I said before, it's possible that there's a cue being played that literally 24 hours ago didn't exist even in James's studio.
Then we go from here to Fox, which is back in Los Angeles near Culver City. We're going to go there for the last of the 4 days. Plus we have one session at Warner Brothers in Burbank, and I think we have a small session in Burbank at O'Henry. Right. So we should get a bus with an ape on top, call it the King Kong Roadshows.
After we've recorded the music and gotten edited on the stage, it gets sent over to Alan Meyerson, who is one of the 2 mixers on this project.
And my job is really to polish it and make sure that it is as much as it can be, it's as exciting as it can be.
And they'll start mixing, sometimes mixing all the way through till the next morning. Since they've gotten those mixes done, they can upload them to New Zealand, so when New Zealand wakes up, they've got a set of mixes ready to go.
Normally, the score is pre-recorded before we even start final mixing.
Because we're on such a tight time pressure at the moment, the synthesized mock-ups are coming in thick and fast, as well as the actual recorded material.
And as we've got mock-ups, we've sometimes put the mock-ups into our mix so that the sound mixing can continue. Firstly with the mock-ups, and then as the orchestral music is recorded, it gets swapped out, and any tweaks happen to the mix.
What music tracks were not the real ones? Obviously the stuff at the end in the corridor and the deck.
And the whole dock through her getting onto the boat.
Yeah.
They were starting their final mix the day that we started writing music. So yeah, the pressure was on right away.
Well, this is kind of our King Kong war board. Anything with a blue check mark on it is a really good sign. That's been recorded, approved, and sent. So if you look at how many blue check marks we've got compared to how many spaces we've got left, we're doing pretty well.
Wow. Is that the scores from today? You know, most of these reels are essentially wall-to-wall music, and this is no exception.
So 2 hours down and, roughly 30-40 minutes left to go.
The lights at the end of the tunnel.
Yep.
That's great.
It feels like we're rounding the turn here.
I've got a strange feeling that inspiration kicks in when the time's short, and I wonder whether the music would be any better if you had more time. I'm sure you'd probably think it would, but
No, I don't.
I think we've been blessed with an incredible adrenaline rush and all the inspiration that goes with that, and I think it's benefited the movie in a funny, weird way.
I do agree that I think more time would not necessarily have been
Would have given us a bit more sleep, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, pain is temporary, film is forever.
Indeed.
Hello, welcome to this post-production diary, and it's 3 weeks to go until the release of King Kong. As you can imagine, things are a little bit busy down here in New Zealand at the moment.
Good. All right, we better keep mixing.
As usual, we're right down to the wire with everything.
We are due to deliver the film on the 27th, which is this coming weekend.
We're so close to the deadlines of when the studio needs to start making prints that we're having to deliver the movie one reel at a time.
The final King Kong will be 9 of those. 35mm, duration of that on the screen is about 20 minutes.
Now, within that 20-minute reel, of course, there is a lot of CG shots, and Weta are in the process of this week delivering their final shots on the film.
The shots that are left to go are predominantly the ones that were handed over last or are the most difficult in the film.
The Bronto sequence finished up today. The pit sequence with all the bugs finished up today. It's all coming to a close. We can actually see the end now. It's a pretty exciting time, finally.
We have 4 or 5 days to the end. Thank God.
I think it's something like 3,000 effect shots in the film, which is pretty high given that it's, normal effects films closer to 2,000.
We're just cleaning everything up. We have 142 shots left, which is nothing.
Every day, sometimes twice a day, I go to the cinema and I sit with the folks at Weta and we review the last shots that are coming through the system.
But we still have the digital intermediate process to go through. The data from the computer gets shipped straight over to the digital intermediate guys for the colour timing.
We've delivered 3 reels so far. We have a schedule of when we think the visual effects are going to be locked and closed for a reel, and then once we get those, we grade them up, place in those last shots, make sure that the reel is sitting, and then we conform it and put it out to film.
If Peter approves, it goes off to the editorial team so that they can make sure that the form of the film is correct.
The confidence check is a thing that we do back in editorial to make sure that what's being shot to film is exactly what Peter intends to be shot to film. And so this is a final check pass to make sure that the intent of the edit has actually made it onto the film before it gets shot out to negative.
There is still physical film involved. The process of delivering the reels of film basically ends with the filming out onto a 35mm neg.
What you see here is a ARRI laser film recorder. It's currently mastering out reel 3 of the film. 24 hours later, it goes to the laboratory. They process it, they print it, comes back. We check the print. If it's all good, then that becomes a master negative for the film.
And we also have concurrently the sound, which is being worked on by a completely different team at Park Road Post, which is our facility down here in New Zealand.
Reel 7 or 8 really basically closing in on finishing. That's what we're working on today. Once we've finished the final mix, we do what's called a print master.
Which is basically the final stage that we go through in sound. I take everything that they've mixed and that Peter's approved, and I fold that all down into the various formats that it'll go to in the movie theaters.
Just like that, complete Dolby Digital soundtrack on one small disc.
All the actual sound elements are being sent digitally over the internet to the labs.
It's pretty amazing that we're so far away and the sound can end up being there in a couple hours. So that's brought to the lab, and then they actually shoot a picture negative of the sound only.
The two essential elements for the release prints are the picture neg and the sound neg. So we have the sound neg, we have the picture neg, we print them together, you get your release print.
So reel by reel, the picture is being done. At the moment, we've delivered 6 reels. We've got 3 reels to go, and they all have to be finished by Monday, because these reels have to be sent away overseas to be mass-produced in the laboratories around the world so that the film's ready for projection in, I guess, about 20,000 cinemas on December the 14th.
Prints and negative and hard drives. We make negatives from the hard drives. These negatives we'll start printing on, and we'll make our own negatives in LA. So we'll have we'll have probably 6 negatives that we'll be printing on simultaneously.
Not only are we doing the 12 version internationally, but we're also doing subtitling between 27 languages wide.
I've been here 5 days. That's the 3rd dog I've seen in all of New Zealand.
When I'm sitting in the theater watching it, I'll know we're done.
What are you going to do when it's over?
Sleep. For a long time.
Move to Spain. Retire. Barcelona, here I come.
On Monday, we get on an aeroplane and we fly to New York and start the press. I also want to take the chance to answer some more of your questions too. And next week's post-production diary is probably a good time to do it. So look forward to catching up with you on the other side of the world next week. Hello, and welcome to this post-production diary 2 weeks before the release of King Kong. And I thought that this week, since there's a lot going on, it's actually, ironically, a good chance just to sit down and to answer some more of your questions. I'm in a question answering mood because it's the week of our press junket in New York before the premiere of the film. So the first one's from Ryan, and the question is, what have been the biggest challenges you've encountered so far in the making of the film? That's an interesting question. I think the thing that surprised us all was the length of the film. I mean, the film is what it is. I'm very proud of it. Obviously, the longer the film is, the more visual effects shots there are, the more music there is needed, the greater the post-production, the more complicated the film. Coming out of Lord of the Rings, I, for some reason, didn't quite expect it to be quite as complex as it did turn out to be. So that has certainly been one of the practical challenges. The artistic challenge, if you like, has been the creation of King Kong himself, bringing a completely digital gorilla to life in a way that you just relate and buy into his character. And obviously all of you are going to be able to judge for yourselves whether or not we've succeeded, but it has been a real tough job to do. Deborah has sent in a question. What were the biggest challenges in adapting a 1933 film for a contemporary audience? In a sense, we have confronted it the most direct way by actually setting our movie in 1933. You know, we haven't attempted to update the film, but of course, you know, we are filmmakers in 2005, so obviously the world is a very different place and the technology is very different to 1933, but there's a lot about the original King Kong which I love because it was made in 1933 and it was made as a contemporary film at the time, but we've made our film as a period movie, but I really wanted to embrace that 1933 time period. And Chris has sent in a question. How has this movie differed from the other movies you've done? The interesting thing about this film is that I started to do a remake of King Kong when I was 12 on Super 8. Didn't get much of it done back then, but I've always had this ambition, this desire to want to make this film. And so from that point of view, I felt more than any other film I've ever made, I felt that this was something I'd been waiting for years and years and years to do. So that has been a very significant part of the process for me. The next question is from Pastor Mike. What is the secret to making films in which most people know the basic plot and the ending even before seeing them? Now that is a very interesting question. You just got to make it a cool movie. I think to some degree it's a classic fable, and I think the
fact that people know the ending in a way is almost a strength of the film, because there's a certain power to it as you're watching it, knowing where it's actually heading. And also, I would hope that there's going to be a significant amount of kids, young people coming to the film that won't actually know the ending, and this will be their first introduction to this amazing story. And the last question is from Kevin. How do you feel now that the movie that you've always wanted to make is about to be released? I feel exhausted, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what people's response to the film is. There's this weird, surreal period of 2 or 3 weeks where the film goes away. It's like a child leaving home, or, you know, some period of transition. And it's strange because people see it for the first time, and you get feedback. You get people telling you what they think about the movie. And it's a very nerve-wracking time, but it's also very satisfying. And it also defines a period in your life, because there's been a big chunk of working on the film that now is finished, and we're moving on to something else. In a funny way, it's the point of making a film, to get to the stage that you have it for people to enjoy. Really looking forward to seeing you all next week, and we're going to give you a very exclusive inside look at what happens to the filmmakers as they go through the process of the final press and premiere. Look forward to seeing you.
Well, welcome to this week's post-production diary. It's 1 week to go until the release of the film, and we're here in Times Square.
Times Square, New York City, from Wellington to Times Square.
This is the week of the junket. It's the publicity, the promotion of the film that climaxes basically in the premiere.
We're here for what we call the worldwide junket. We're having 2 days of domestic press and 2 days of international press.
I think it does no harm to remake a film that was made in 1933, because the original is a classic and will always be.
What's this?
Peter Jackson and the cast got settled in a bit, and then on Thursday morning began the grueling process of a press junket, which is you sit in a chair in a room, and every 5 minutes another journalist comes in and out.
Oh, so you go in. Oh, I'm the. Jack, hug it out. How's it going?
All kinds of like musical kisses going on. Good to see the musical
Circus.
There are television one-on-ones with local outlets from all over the world, as well as some North American national outlets like Access Hollywood.
5, 4, 3, 2.
King Kong director Peter Jackson has had a lifelong passion for that building and the ape that made it famous back in 1933.
I think the question I ended up talking about the most with the journalists was how I saw the original King Kong on TV when I was 9 years old. I told that story often.
Oh, I sobbed when I saw the first film. I was 9 years old. Well, I can relate back to when I was a 9-year-old seeing it. I mean, when I saw the original when I was 9, I cried. That was a scene that stuck in my head ever since I saw Kong when I was 9 years old.
We're putting up a life-size King Kong sculpt from Weta in Times Square, and the mayor will proclaim it King Kong Day and give Peter the key to the city.
I, Michael R. Bloomberg, Mayor of the City of New York, do hereby proclaim Monday, December 5th, 2005, that's today, folks, in the City of New York as King Kong Day.
And then he and the cast go over to TRL to do TRL Live.
It was pretty weird. I've never done MTV before. It's crazy. It's fun. It's all right. As long as, you know, I've got all my friends with me, that's okay. Hate to do it by myself.
And then we'll basically go down 2 blocks to 42nd Street, where we've taken over 2 huge movie complexes, the AMC Empire 25 and the Lowe's Ewok, 8,000 seats total, 38 screens.
There's such a large scope premiere that we're dealing with.
38 theaters with 8,000 people, which is the biggest we know of.
And 3,000 guests at a party. This gives us a diagram of where every single person in the theater is sitting.
Each seat in the theater becomes something like high-stake real estate.
There's a lot of politics involved in making these decisions.
Who sits next to who sits in this theater. It's the biggest catfight in the world.
We've heard every story in the book.
I went to high school with Peter Jackson.
You know,
it's like unbelievable stories they make up.
we just try to make sure it's well organized so everybody has a great time.
I'm about to go onto the red carpet, which is basically the walk that you have to do to get into the theatre, and there's lots of journalists, lots of press.
Hey, Kong is King, here we are at the premiere. Finally made it after all those months and months and months of production diaries. This is the original King Kong, by the way, and he's my date for the night.
It's always amazing to get to this point of the journey because, boy, it's hard to imagine sometimes when you're back in the trenches in New Zealand.
Hey, what's going on? This is the Kiwis.
How you doing?
The Kiwis.
You good?
Yeah, the Kiwis.
We love the Kiwis.
It's been an insane year, right? It's been like a year since we started filming.
It was a life-changing experience, not only like working with Peter Jackson, but also being down there with you guys. It's been awesome.
I'm a little overwhelmed, to tell you the truth.
I'm really honored. I'm really thrilled to be a part of this movie. This is Peter's dream, and it's a beautiful thing to see dreams come true.
Pete and Fran first asked me to do this about 2.5 years ago. It's just way overwhelming that we've actually reached this point where we're standing in Times Square and there's a statue of Kong and we're about to see the finished thing.
Hello home, hello everybody, hello my friends. We're here in New York. Gotta go.
Everyone seems to be very buoyed and happy tonight and in good spirit, and I can't wait for them to come in and see the movie.
So we've got through the red carpet and now we're on our way into the theatre.
The King Kong crew are very special. Some of them even followed us here tonight from New Zealand, which is really weird, but you know, that's what they do. And we love them all dearly. They're passionate, terribly clever, a lot of fun, really patient, and without them we'd be in a lot of trouble. So we just want to thank you all very much from the bottom of our hearts.
There's too many people to mention by name, but you'll see the credits when they roll for 9 minutes. Don't go to the bathroom. Well, you probably will need to go to the bathroom, but there's a lot of people in the credits, and that's because so many people worked very, very hard on this film.
Finally, we get to sit down and watch the movie. The movie that we only finished last Monday, a week ago.
Following that, a smaller number of people get to go to the after party at Pier 92 on the Hudson.
You have the lovely orzo, the lovely goat salad. You have asparagus tips, bocconcino. This is a corn souffle pudding. We have a lovely chicken satay.
We started with the ship at the pier. We go into Skull Island and we turned all the columns into these magnificent trees. And then we chose to come into New York City and we have a burlesque house. And then we go into this marvelous club called El Morocco that was the hot club in the 1930s. And that's what we made into the reserved seating area.
Peter Jackson is a genius. I hope to work with him again on King Kong 2, Electric Boogaloo.
This is cool, but the day the movie opens around the world, there's no other place I would want to be than in Wellington. So I'm seriously, let's get this one over with and get down to Wellington.
So we'll see you folks in 1 week's time for the Wellington premiere, the last premiere, and the final post-production diaries. So look forward to seeing you then.
So hi, welcome to the Kong, Hello, welcome to Kong is King, the internet fan site for the movie we're making, the remake of King Kong, and I'm here on the set, the first night of shooting. Well, this doesn't look like much at the moment. This is an empty parking lot, but it's where day one of the shoot took place. We had the Venture and the New York docks built right there in our parking lot. It's not there anymore, but it exists on film. And obviously, finally, it's a film that you can get to see after all these months and months of production diaries. So we're on day 16, day 20, day 27, day 36, day 40, day 51, day 66. Welcome to day 77, day 85. So today it's day 100. Okay, welcome to day 125 or 6 or 7 or whatever it is of our shoot. Finally made it through the shoot and we're in post-production. 30 weeks to go. 28 weeks to go. 24 weeks away from the opening of the movie. Oh, hello. 16 weeks to go. 14 weeks to go, don't panic. 8 weeks to the release of the film. It's 3 weeks, 2 weeks. 1 week to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the
the director himself, Peter Jackson!
Well, it's fantastic. I mean, this is where it was made, so a huge number of people here helped, thousands of people, so it's great to be back in the hometown.
And as far as premieres go, Wellington does it the best.
You can't get much better than this, can you?
Yeah, well, it's certainly a lot warmer than New York.
It's not like in the Northern Hemisphere where it's snow everywhere.
It's great to be in hometown though. We're getting some sleep now, so it's all good.
We had absolutely nothing to do with the production of this film.
No, that's right. But we're happy
We're just here for the carpet.
Wow, it's the red carpet. It's the final frontier. We made it. Yeah, it's good.
And also, we have another sensational star.
You guys are never far, are you?
Hey, we're off. We're going on our holidays now. Tomorrow morning we're flying to the South Island. It's over.
Oh, I'm heading down to South Island. Yeah. A few boats down there.
Yeah, Barcelona after this. Yeah, we'll get on a plane right after the movie.
They wanted me out of here tomorrow morning, and I'm not going. I'm gonna stay another day.
It's been incredible. I want to thank Weta Digital crew, to be honest, because they did the most amazing job.
It was worth the blood, sweat and tears. It really was. Every moment of it. It's absolutely worth it.
Oh, thank God it's done. Oh, it's finished.
Enjoy the film. We're sure as heck glad it's over.
Woohoo!
Gosh, what a tough 2 years, but what an amazing 2 years.
Yeah.
To have that result is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it made all the more amazing because we're with Weta's biggest fan right here. And she even sent us a beautiful sign. Look at that. Weta, look at that. Weta. Fantastic.
This is just fantastic to have such a great welcome. Thank you very much, Kerry and Trevor, and all the people that have gone to this extreme effort to make the day a great party day. Thank you so much. King Kong is very much a Wellington film.
Hey, you're just doing the very last production now.
The last one? How have you lasted so long? You've been the bane of my life.
I hope you guys have enjoyed this experience so far with the web diaries and all that stuff. It's been really cool.
You know, it's been an amazing thing to be a part of that process, and the fact that Pete shared so much of it.
Guys, you've stuck it out, and you've seen how it's made, how it's all put together, how everything works, all the little mechanics of the big movie that it is. Now just go and see it and have some fun. Now get off the computer, go out to your theatre, take your girlfriend or your wife or your boyfriend, whatever it is, and just go and have fun in the theatre because it's an amazing film. And thank you for watching all these diaries. It means a lot to us. So thanks.
How about that? The last PD. Can you believe it?
Thanks for staying with us. I hope it's worth the journey. We loved every second of it. You know, it was made for you guys, and now we're handing it over to you. So enjoy.
Happy holidays, everyone. Thanks for watching all of these. It's been a great record of the whole process, and boy, just can't wait to see the film now.
This is the last one. Wow. Hey, happy holidays from all of us here on the carpet. We're going to go in there and finally see what all of this is kind of amounted to.
So here we are, we're signing off on the exact place that we began all those months ago. I want to just thank you, everybody at Kong is King, Michael, Regina, all the fans, everybody who's been looking at these production diaries over the past 18 months or so. You'll see a few things in the production diaries that didn't make it to the final cut. So who knows, there might be a DVD in the future. This may not be the last time we'll be talking to each other. It's been an experiment, I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been fun for us, and I hope you enjoy the finished result. So thank you very much, and I'll say goodbye.